Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Welcome to Hump Day.
Here we go.
Oh my goodness!
Look at this.
Everybody locked in. Lock it in.
It makes me laugh.
Lock it up.
We're halfway home.
We.
We're going to get an idea later today what's going on with the Browns. Are they practicing?
So.
Are the guys that are hurt practicing? What's going on? We'll find out.
As a black man to the chat, I want to throw something out there. Can somebody tell me why people hate Nickelback? I'm confused. I'm not of the culture.
Yeah, I like
explain
Nickelback.
to me
It's
why-
popular. It's popular to make fun of Nickelback. I don't know why.
Where did that come
but
from?
if people didn't like them, why would they have sold as many albums as they did and been around for as long as they have?
They've become a joke.
They're not a joke.
They are.
They're a joke band?
Go online, you'll figure it out. Go online.
No.
The Nickelback hate is real.
those people,
I don't know nothing.
absolutely real.
those people are snobby and
Can you name
obnoxious.
3 of their songs?
Yeah.
Photograph.
Photograph.
Not you.
That's the one I can
Rockstar.
Okay, there you go.
Rockstar.
2.
And the one joint.
Do, 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 do,
And the
do,
joint.
do,
Hold
do.
on. The one joint on the Batman, on the Spider-Man soundtrack.
Oh, so you would know that because of the Marvel.
So yeah, he
Not
got
Marvel.
there.
Yeah.
DC.
DC, yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
Busy show. Busy show. Are these guys going to play? What's the Browns team going to look like on Sunday? We probably won't know before we leave the air because it's all going to happen after 1 o'clock
They don't speak
our
till
time.
3:30 today.
Yeah,
So
we'll have to wait until tomorrow to go off on who's playing, who's not. And it's possible the guy doesn't practice today and he might practice tomorrow, could still play, but usually Wednesday's a pretty good indicator of what's going on. Travis Rodgers is going to come on. You know, this Rams team is a team, if they're interesting, they're definitely trending in the right direction. They're starting to get healthy now. And so he's going to tell us all about the timing of the Browns catching the Rams and what we're in for. They handled a Cardinals team very easily on Sunday, as we did. So I think there's a lot of similarities between these two teams. And we're also going to look at the Browns' schedule. Like when it came out, you go through it as you always do. You play schedule roulette, win, loss, win, loss. Well, things happen during the course of the NFL season, and some of those things that have happened really benefit the Browns at the time that they're getting certain teams. So we'll go through and play schedule roulette, revisionist history, how those games look today compared to when the schedule first came out. And now it's time for our first hello of the day to Mikey McNuggets.
What's up, guys? Also,
Nickelback extraordinaire.
Yes.
Yeah, I can only name the one song.
Yeah.
You guys actually did better than me. We also have a topic that Bull pitched on Monday that I know is going to drive people crazy later that we're going to get into, and I cannot wait to see how you guys answer it. I think it's a fascinating question. Also, breaking news real quick. Because the Cavs did not make the NBA's midseason play-in tournament, which we'll talk about in overtime, they have learned their next 2 opponents for the week of December 2nd to whenever. They're going to host the Orlando Magic on December 6th, and then they hit the road to play the Miami Heat on December 8th. Those were the 2 open dates that were dependent on whether or not you made the Vegas tournament.
Very exciting,
or missed it. So you have the Magic coming to Cleveland, and then they are heading to Miami. And let's get into some football topips, guys. That's what I know everyone's here for.
Can we do something real quick on the play-in tournament? I don't want it to be a topic.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Do we like this? Because I don't. Do you guys like it?
No interest.
No interest.
For $500,000, I do.
For the players.
These dudes
Well,
is richer than.
Of course, but
But what about like a guy like
12th man on the roster.
Right.
Craig Porter
Yeah.
Jr.'s salary this season is $550,000.
Yeah, so he would
it's
double his
essentially
money.
doubling his salary.
Yeah, but I've seen almost no buy-in from the fans at this point. I mean, minimal. Obviously, the diehard NBA fans are going to watch it anyhow. But I haven't heard anybody saying, "Oh, we got to watch tonight's game because it's pivotal in the play-in."
No,
I watched it.
That's not going to happen because it's not. What do you get for? So you just win the money? You get like a trophy or something?
There's probably going to be some sort of a celebration. It's an in-season tournament champion.
But then you got to play a game in 2 days.
Exactly.
As a
And go right
fan,
back to the
I don't
social
know why you care as a fan.
Here's what they should do. There's not enough skin in the game. If you're gonna do something, don't half-step. Hey, give the team that won a lottery pick. Bet you y'all will watch then.
Well,
I'll be all up in these games.
Yeah, but then you're making a strong team already stronger, and the whole idea of the draft is to help the weak teams.
But if you get teams like, I don't know.
The Lakers, Celtics, and Bucks are in it, right?
Lakers, Celtics, Bucks.
It's
Magic,
the power. It's
Thunder.
the power teams for the most part.
Or give them first round in the play. Give them a home court advantage.
Yeah.
If you want to do something big, you
they're
got to
going
go
to get
big.
home court
Yeah.
advantage anyhow.
The problem,
Guys, we don't want to get too deep.
No,
into it,
I
right,
just
Mike?
wanted to know, show of
Go ahead.
hands,
Yeah.
who liked it. And I'm not interested.
Well, what I'm about to say actually has to do with our sponsors, FanDuel. They need to figure out if the players is going to be serious or not, because there's people that's on FanDuel that's betting on these things and don't know what to bet on.
I think for the
You
championship
don't
game,
know.
there will be some interest. Other than
you
probably
there,
not.
you might as well go hard.
Yeah. But the whole idea, the league did this because they're trying to drum up interest in the regular season. I don't think it worked.
Not going to happen.
Okay, let's dive in and talk about you want to start?
I just got to remind everybody that even as the weather gets colder,
Oh, yeah.
and I appreciate Tyvis for mentioning FanDuel, but the NFL offers stay hot on FanDuel, and right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. So if you're looking to get it on the action, there's no better time to join FanDuel than this exact moment. The app is simple to use, and you can bet on almost anything under the sun, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and much, much more. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL, an official partner of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.
There you go.
We forgot one. This is how you remind me. There you go, Nickelback. That's 2.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, man. Bangers.
No winning ticket today?
No, Anthony's working from home, so
Oh,
winning
okay.
ticket today. We were trying to get one in for the second half of the hour.
All right, very good. How do the Browns get back on track against the Rams? Their defense in particular. Because they didn't look like the Browns' defense, obviously because of some of the injuries, but what do they do?
Well, obviously, hopefully, a lot of them get healthier and come back. But I think you got to reassess it. You know, the one thing that stood out to me was the trap play, the runs. And it hasn't just been this game. They've been kind of leaky in the run game for over the past couple of games. Obviously, Jaylen Warren had the big run. Baltimore ran the ball pretty decently. So that run game needs to be tweaked a little bit.
How do you do that?
Well, how you do that is you gotta, first of all, you gotta pray to God that Myles Garrett is healthy. That's first
Sure.
of all. Secondly, you gotta do better on leveraging the football. Let me say it
You
correct.
think praying is going to help Myles Garrett get better?
Jesus is not on the field.
Could be. It could be.
If there is a guy, I'm sure he has more important, or she has more important things to deal
The
with.
football guy.
Ah, okay.
Football guys. All right, so so what you got to do is these guys got to do a better job, and it's not just the D-line. It starts with the D-line. Obviously, it's about gap integrity. These guys have to stay in their gaps. But when this ball hits the outside, because a lot of these plays are happening on the outside, particularly it was the zone read, which they struggle with all season. But I'm not even going to go there right now.
Is there a reason they struggle with that?
Well, I watched some plays with McNuggets that I'm going to break down a little bit later, in the week. Yeah, in the week. But Russell Wilson, first of all, he's smart.
Different.
Yeah, he understands.
Giving love to Russell
Yeah,
Wilson?
he understands personnel. He understands what was going on, and he just made the right adjustments. So that's why he was successful with it. But that thing, right, when you see zone read, like I say, you have to have your responsibilities is somebody has to take the dive, somebody got to be responsible for the quarterback. And the person that's responsible for the quarterback has to make sure that they quick enough to handle the quarterback.
get 'em, yeah.
Right, so.
Well, that's not an issue. Now, you're playing a savvy veteran quarterback this week, but unlike Russell Wilson,
He ain't-
Matthew
No, he's
Stafford
not going to
can't.
RPA. He's not going to get out on the edge.
But Kyron Williams had a really monster
He's
game
been
last
phenomenal
week.
this
Been
But
great.
he's one of those guys that finds a crease and he likes to get to the outside. So our linebackers have to stop going under these blocks. That's what happens a lot of the times. We don't have the size, so we go under blocks and use our speed to get around. Sometimes it works, but a lot of the times when it doesn't, you leave that seam, he hit that sideline and it's gone. We got to leverage that football, whether that's the linebackers, the nickels, or the corners. Everybody has to leverage the ball and send it back inside. If it gets outside, he's gone because there's nobody there. See that right there? He gets to the sideline, nobody's there. So you got to do everything you can to keep that ball on the inside shoulder and send it back in. That's one of the main things that I see as a problem.
What's amazing is nobody heard of Kyron Williams before the season.
No, they didn't.
No,
I'm so
nobody
glad
heard
I
of him.
picked him up in fantasy.
And
In
He's
my
been
other league,
amazing.
he's carrying me to a
That's
championship.
what he's doing to me
He's-
right
he's-
here.
he's
In our
absolutely killing it. Do you have him in our league?
Yeah, in our
Do you?
league, he just put a backpack on and
40.
carried me. Yeah.
Yeah.
40 on Sunday.
Yeah,
So
38,
the Browns
yeah.
will have their hands full. I find it interesting that you said that because the undersized linebackers, that's why they're going underneath.
Yeah,
Is this something that you can coach into guys? Is it their instincts? You really are you? Do you have to tell them to be less aggressive on certain plays?
No, you don't never want a player to be less aggressive, but the thing is, and JOK was a perfect example. You know, he's one of those guys that he's so athletic that he goes under blocks. And I was the same way. When I was a young player, I would either foot fake the guy or go under and use my speed. It wasn't until I got older that I realized that using your hands is what gives you longevity in this career. Your arms is long. If you can get your arms extended off, you can push them and pull them to the side and get where you need to be. They call it two-gapping. You get there, you see where the guy's at, you throw him or you shed him to the side, and then you go make the play. Maybe guys don't do that because in the linebacker position, you're dealing with 300-pound guys, so that's harder to do. But if you can get that extension, you really got to like drop your chest down and really get some extension and throw them off. You'll be much more successful in it. But right now, with being 200, 220 at linebacker going up against a 300 guy, I understand why they do what they do.
Yeah.
But the thing, I mean, there's a pattern here. The Browns' defense, when they have struggled, it's mostly been against teams that have mobile quarterbacks,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
And that gives them another thing to look
yes,
at.
and that's not an issue
Kenny
here.
Pickett, well, Kenny Pickett didn't run. Jalen Warren just got that one run.
Right.
Ravens, yeah.
But they didn't struggle against the Steelers. They gave up one big play in each
In both
game,
games, they
but
gave
their
up a
defense
75-yard
didn't
play, and that was
struggle.
half their yardage.
They struggled against Colts when Minshew was running a lot, struggled against the Ravens defensively against Lamar, and then they struggled this past week against Denver. This week, you don't have to worry about that. Now, and their passing game, I don't know. Listen, Kyron Williams is a find for them, and he's been great when he's been healthy. And they've been good. They've been a decent team when he's been healthy. They've won 2 in a row. They have lost. They did lose 3 in a row, and I think 4 or 5 before that. And he missed most of those games. Their passing game is not great right now. Cooper Kupp's not the same player anymore. He's been injured on and off all season. He hasn't been putting
But the
up
Nakua
numbers.
fine was big for them,
He
too.
was, but he's cooled off since early in the season. He hasn't been as big since then. And Matthew Stafford at this point, he's not special anymore. He's just a guy. And I think ultimately it's going to come down, and those are ridiculous numbers for
I
the
was
season.
about to say he almost got 1,000.
It's amazing.
Well,
but
to Bull's point, he went nuts the first 4 or 5 weeks,
did.
and he has cooled down
Yeah,
some.
he's still
But
fine,
he still
but-
had nice numbers.
not at the crazy pace he was.
No, there's
early
tape
in
on
the
him now,
season.
and guys know what he's going to do.
I mean, the key is just, Matthew Stafford, if you get pressure on him, it's a problem because he can't totally
escape.
immobile there. And the question is, will Myles Garrett be in good enough shape for this game? Because I think we all assume he's going to play. Like, if he can play, he's going to play.
I
That's
agree.
Who the hell he is. The question is, will he be effective enough to cause the havoc to make Stafford uncomfortable? And outside of last week, the Rams have had a hard time converting in the red zone. Last week they didn't. Last
Yeah.
week they scored.
Well, they got their
But that's
back-
against Arizona.
and they got their back back.
The combination of Arizona and Kyron Williams.
Right.
The Browns obviously have been good in the red zone defense, but they're going to need to be. I mean, Kyron is the biggest concern.
Yeah.
Without a doubt on this
I
team.
mean, but the thing is, you got the right player. I mean, JOK is obviously he's played unbelievably last game. You get Anthony Walker back. Even Taki's okay. He could get things done. They just gotta leverage the football. Just leverage the ball. Like, I don't know why y'all
Explain what that means.
keep the ball
No,
on
he
the
did.
inside. Don't
Oh,
let
sorry,
the ball
you did it
get
by
outside and
Gee,
get to the sideline.
For me, I'll go quickly because I don't have much to say. It's just a matter of getting healthy. If you have Denzel Ward in the back and you have Anthony Walker in the middle and you have some semblance of Myles Garrett up front, you have a great chance of winning this game.
Mm-hmm.
If 2 of those 3 elements are missing, it's going to be a long Sunday.
You know what the crazy
agree with
thing
that?
is? This is 2 years in a row that when Anthony Walker's not in there, it's a difference on defense.
No, we've seen it.
That's amazing.
We've seen it. In fact, G. Bush called him a jag, and he reeled that back
you
quickly.
did, didn't
he
you?
reeled that back quickly.
I'll tell you, listen, we messing it here, man. They see the key to football. If you just really boil it down to, is the run game. It is. It's the key to the whole game. We say, okay, we got to get Myles Garrett on third down. How you get on third down?
Yeah. That's right.
You earn the right to get on third down. All third downs are not created equally. If you 3rd and 3, you're in trouble because they can run anything. You mean 3rd and long. To do that, you got to stop the run. And we look at the Cleveland Browns. Their defense is dominant when it is 3rd and long, 3rd and 9, and they are getting penetration in the backfield. As the season wears along, all around the league, the game switches up because it's colder. You have attrition. Guys have been pounding each other for a whole year. When you get to this time of the day, everybody ain't throwing it. Look at the numbers. Nobody's throwing the ball 40, 60 times for 400 yards.
Well, we did.
I'm about to say we did.
We're the anomaly.
Because because
That's not true.
It's going to happen.
Josh Allen threw a ton this week. C.J. Stroud.
Did anybody
threw a ton
throw
this
more
week.
than 42 times though? I didn't look.
Well, this game
Josh Allen
this
did.
game Sunday they're going to throw a lot.
Well,
because
they played
it's in LA.
overtime. Josh Allen.
No. This game is going to come down to, can they stop Kyron Williams? Forget all that passing stuff.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's in LA. Weather's not a factor.
No, weather won't be.
We not talking about weather. We talk about the ground game. I just said it, Tyvis. I didn't say snow or rain. It comes down to, can you stop the run when you know it's coming? And the Cleveland Browns better be able to stop Kyron Williams, because if you can't stop the run on him, now Puka Nacua is wide open. Now you can hit Higbee. Now you can do all that.
That's why they
stuff.
really are complementary. We talk about it's a passing league, but the two elements of offense are very complementary. The run can set up the pass can set up the run, and when you have an offense that's balanced and can do both well, you've got a winning team.
It's devastating. I would listen. If people ask me, would you rather play a team that is balanced or throws the ball all the time? Man, give me the throw the team. If they throw it 60 times, I know at least 20 of those times I'm going to get a pass rush. But if you tell me they're going to split it up 30 and 30, and I don't know what's coming, it could be outside zone, inside zone, play action. Now I can't guess. I can't just say I'm going to hit a swim move off the football and do this. No, you got to play everything down the middle. And when you start to get to this point in the season, guys are injured. Your guys are not going to be 100%. And it's difficult for defensive linemen to get off of blocks in week 13, 14, and 15. It is. We talk about the hands. Look, hands are great if they ain't broken.
Yeah, right.
Wrist, hands, elbows. You start to see people really wrapped up as the season goes down. And running the football is all about controlling somebody up front. And you look at what the Broncos did. Broncos, they didn't do anything special. But they just threw the ball 22 times. He completed
13, 14, not a lot.
14.
He had 135 passing yards.
But that controlled the whole game.
It did. It felt like a lot more than that. As you
Yeah.
were watching the game, I was surprised when I looked at his numbers at the end. I thought, damn, it felt like he threw it around a lot more than that.
I think him and DTR both had 134
They did,
yards.
exactly. It's the same number.
The Browns were 6th in pass attempts this week.
Who passed more? I bet Philly. And I bet
Josh
Buffalo.
Allen, Kyler Murray, Jared Goff, Sam Howell, and Justin Herbert.
Okay, Buffalo played overtime.
All of them got $200 million except Sam Howell.
Wait, let's see who were they? Buffalo?
Yeah.
Arizona,
threw 51
Detroit,
attempts.
Washington, and the Chargers.
4 of those 5 lost.
Who threw 51 attempts?
They all lost.
Josh Allen.
No, what was the second to last one?
Washington, they lost. They all lost.
Okay, so
All
all
5
of the
lost.
teams with that many passing attempts, to your point, took L's,
So we should've
including
ran.
the Browns.
So we
Well,
should've
the
ran
next
ball.
the next two guys, 6 and 7. Actually, Minshew, he was tied for 6th. Browns were tied for 6th with Minshew. He won. He threw 41 passes, and Trevor Lawrence threw 39 and won.
And they won as well.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know if it's a trend or not. It's 1 week. Typically, you're right. When a team throws that many times, they're usually throwing because they're behind. So one begets the other.
It's the end of the season. It's in the month of December when them weather conditions and their body beat up taking place. Run the ball.
Talk about that, the attrition that G. Bush talked about, because I've had players tell me exactly what G said. The month of December is its own schedule.
It is.
So how do players condition themselves for that? How do practices change? How do games change?
Well, typically in December by then. Okay, so if you don't know, you get about 12 padded practice on a season. So if you go two padded practices a week, by week 6, that's it. You're done. You can't do no more padded practices. So by this,
Is that how it normally works?
That's
they do
the
2 a week.
The new CBA.
well, no.
but I
Usually it's only one. You do one a
okay.
week. Yeah.
but some
but either-
coaches do it differently.
Where every team I went to, we
Either
did
way,
it
you're
once.
done by December.
Right.
yeah, now that you're not getting
Yeah, so now you out there with T-shirts and all that, so you're not banging in practice anymore and trying to get your body revved up. You got to do a great job of getting in them cold tanks and doing those massages and all of those things because you got to be healthy for the game. The only thing that's hard is the mindset, getting the mindset right. Obviously, if you practice tackling every single day in practice, by game day, it's just
gonna be
second
better
nature,
at it.
right? If you're not practicing, like physically doing it, then you lose that element. So what guys would do is they literally make you get into a stance and you have to literally tag off and get out the way. So like
Wow.
tag and
I hate
move.
that.
I hated it too, but it definitely worked for game day because you still in that same mindset. You're doing
and
everything
because everybody's
but the
doing it,
contact.
there's no real advantage or disadvantage.
Yeah.
The bottom line, again, getting back to the defense is who's playing.
Yeah.
That's
Ability
really,
is great, but availability is way more
that's
important.
really the most
Are you
important
It
thing.
is. What guys are going to be on the field and what guys are not. And
Yeah.
as I said, I think it comes down to the 3. Walker, Denzel, and Myles.
What is Walker's injury?
I think it was it a shoulder?
No, Walker was a hamstring.
Oh, okay. We still haven't heard anything on him. And I asked
No.
around yesterday, and they said some people didn't know.
Yeah, they had.
We'll find out today.
The guys that missed last week's game, there were no updates on Monday on any of those.
And even
guys.
yesterday, I mean, obviously it was an off
Yeah,
day.
yesterday
but
was an off day. So
today
we'll probably have a better clue between what Stefanski says and practice.
Yeah.
Let
I
all
mean,
3 of them play.
you need at least one out of Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward.
I think you need 2. I really do.
I think.
I can get Taki can make it. JOK can make it.
No, I said
No, we're talking
Garrett
about
Ward.
between Walker,
No,
Ward,
I'm
and
saying
Garrett.
if I didn't have Walker, I think you can still make it.
I was taking
Yes,
Walker out of it.
listen-
I'm just saying
okay.
Myles and Ward are the 2 most
Yes,
important players.
that's what I'm
Absolutely.
saying.
The front and the back.
Yeah.
You gotta have, if you don't have either of those guys, you're going to be in trouble.
That's right.
I agree.
They're the best players
Yeah.
in the front and the best players in the back.
They need. I've been watching the games. They need more penetration. They need. If you're gonna play wide like that, your defensive tackles have to change the line of scrimmage. They can't just hold because there's such wide gaps. They're playing 2 eyes right now inside the shoulders of the guards.
Do you like that, by the way?
I mean, I don't like it if you don't change the line of scrimmage.
Yeah,
It's supposed to stop inside run. It's kind of like, and then you got the stop sign on the outside, so it should all like kind of go together.
But you have to push that pocket.
Yes, you do.
You can't just stand and hold. Like when you watch early in the season, you see the Jordan Elliott's, you see the Shelby Harris's, you see the Tomlinson being back there. And even if the ball carrier wants to get to a certain landmark or destination, he has to bounce now.
Are they running out of juice?
Arizona, they was all back there.
Yeah, right.
They had like 4 sacks
They've
from
been less
3
impactful.
people.
The D tackles have been less impactful the last couple
I
of
think
weeks.
so too.
You take a beating down there in them trenches.
It's the death. Like, it's a slow death. Like, hey, listen,
They got to get Icarus rotated more or something. They gotta
And
get
by
some
the
hits
way,
off these dudes.
if we're being honest about it, I mean, Zadarius Smith's been a disappointment, hasn't he?
Overall for the year, yes, he has.
But he good. He usually is good in the run game. On the pass rush side, he has not been.
It was funny.
Bull, you had pointed out, wasn't there a trajectory of him going down last year?
Last year, when they signed him, I was like, okay, it's good. We looked at his sacks. I think he had 9 sacks or 10 sacks.
But they all came early.
I think all but 1 came in the first half of last season. So I think he's got like 2 sacks since the midway point of last year.
So, and which would be a full season.
Yeah,
Between last half season and this
So
one.
he's got 2.5 sacks, and I think he maybe had 1 after week 8 or 9. So that's, he hasn't been. Again, I don't know what the grades on him are, but just eye test, he's been okay, but he hasn't been great.
The analytics are very kind to Zadarius.
Okay. All right.
Which take production analytics, eye test, it all matters in the overall evaluation. He's graded out not necessarily by PFF but in terms of his pass rush win rate and his time to pressure are both relatively pretty high compared to other defensive ends.
But I feel like with a lot of defensive lines, like you have the one guy on the one side that's pretty free reign. He's like the pass rusher, and then on the opposite side, you have like that run stopper guy.
But why
I just feel like that's the way they do it.
Tyvis, on other like last year, the Eagles probably the best defense in football, and didn't they have 4 guys with double?
Yeah, they did.
sacks?
Yeah, it was ridiculous. That was ridiculous.
And that's not common to have 4, certainly, but You could have two.
You got to have something. Like I don't.
Is everybody opposite of Myles never does well.
I want him to understand that. Look, we stop waiting on Myles Garrett to make these plays.
Yeah.
Sometimes Myles Garrett is so good that it gets people. Look at Clowney last year. You get to a point where you become fixated on him. Like, oh, man, he get another sack. No, why don't you get your hand in the dirt?
I mean, look at Clowney
and
this year.
Give me a
Clowney's playing
sack.
great
I'm about to
this
say
year.
Clowney going crazy.
He's
this
having his
year.
best year in a long time.
And you look at all the guys that they put opposite of him. Olivier Vernon, they tried. They put Emmanuel Ogbah.
It's got to be something that's going on. Like it has to be what I'm telling you. Myles must get the free reign to do the pass.
Yeah.
You got to play run first, then go pass.
But to be
like
fair,
it has to be.
To be fair, guys, Clowney had a good year here in 21.
He did.
He had a great year.
Yeah,
He had
like
9
his
sacks, didn't he?
most productive year,
Yeah.
I want to say.
Zadarius Smith talks about he has free reign. You know, when he talks about why he like Jim Shorts, he said he just tells you to go out and play. You know, Myles Garrett is just that good. Like, you know.
It doesn't make sense that he. Yeah. How many TFLs he got? 5?
Who? Myles?
No, Zadarius.
So Darius Smith, according
2.5
to
sacks.
ESPN, has 5 tackles for loss.
So that's what I'm saying. He get in the backfield, but it's like he
What
play
is-
run first.
How many does Ogbo have?
Ogbo has 12 tackles for loss.
Wow.
I mean, and how many
Myles
sacks
has
does he
12.
have?
Ogbo is 3.5.
Yeah, I mean, Ogbo's been better.
They all.
The numbers prove it.
I think in the last couple of weeks, it feels like, besides Myles, who didn't really have big impact this past week, it feels like the only guys that have had a presence in the backfield the last couple of weeks are Ogbo and JOK.
Yes.
JOK's been
Right?
back there a lot.
Those have been the guys.
Yeah. And I'll say this, you know, when you have Myles Garrett, you can do a lot of something, man. If you got a beauty queen, she ain't got to have nothing crazy on. You
Why?
just
Because
put-
he's sucking up so many of the offensive
because
line's resources?
He's sucking up all the resources. But sometimes you got to realize you might have to come with the 6. You might have to bring more exotic looks to get
Yeah.
people.
They
open.
bring 6. They better.
better
I
get
don't see
home.
why it wouldn't. Though.
Right.
You got all of these dudes that's got with the JOKs coming along, Ogbo, Myles. You should be able to hit home, but I wouldn't do it 3rd and short.
But
And I also wouldn't do it if Denzel Ward's not on the
yeah,
field.
you're about to say this got to be some 3rd and long type
See,
stuff.
but this the thing, Tyvis. You trying to have it both ways. It's risk reward. If you don't,
dangerous game
It's a
you play.
dangerous game you play. You can sit back.
No, because if you do it 3rd and short, they gonna run a drag route, and it's right there. It's 1-on-1, boom. But if he gets to 3rd and 12, if that blitz get there, they might not even make it to 12 before the ball got to come out.
I don't like their zone coverage at all.
It's not. You don't play zone behind 6-man blitz.
Listen, I just seen.
You got to. It's 0.
Listen, and that's the scary thing.
It is. But you got the guys.
Greg
because,
Newsome.
because 0 is on
Oh,
0.
don't do that.
Although I would
They
think,
looking at 0 now. Come on now. They
Although I
were
would
looking at him.
y'all
like
sick.
Puka Nakua seems like he'd be a better matchup for Newsome than Cortland Sutton was because he's not a big, huge guy. I mean, Cooper Kupp's a big guy, but he's
So say Denzel's
Yeah.
out. Who's checking who?
I would
got
have
Martin and
I would have
Green.
Emerson on Kupp, even though
I would too.
Yeah.
I still think he's
'Cause he's the bigger receiver.
He's the bigger, physically bigger
Yeah.
threat. But Nakua can be a handful, man.
Yeah.
He's given some DBs fits this year.
Listen, I
that
know
third receiver?
Newsome had a bad game. He's not a scrub. I mean, he's still a decent player. He's just not as good as Denzel Ward and Martin Emerson.
In the right spot, he can be very
Yeah.
good. When you ask him to be the man,
Right.
we saw what happened.
How big is Nakua, Mike?
He's not big at all, I don't think.
I mean, I feel like he's a slot type of receiver.
5'11",
He
probably.
plays small.
I think he's bigger than you guys are
Oh,
giving
really?
him.
He's not 5'11".
According to ESPN,
I would say
he's 6'2", 210.
Wow.
Job out
Wow.
of me.
Really?
He's a giant.
Oh
Does
man.
not look that big.
All right.
Oh man.
I take that back.
He got the G. Bush disease.
He's listed at the exact same size as Cooper Kupp.
I wonder what his combine height and weight is.
That is funny.
Here, I'll look that up for you. One
Got
second.
me.
Sometimes the
fool.
combine. Sometimes teams will fudge even the combine.
I didn't-
Combine's real.
I didn't know Cooper
Yeah.
Kupp was 6'2". I thought they was both like 5'10", 5'11".
No, I knew Cooper Kupp was bigger.
Man.
I'm
I
surprised.
cannot
I'm
believe
surprised Nakua is 6'2".
Hey, look, the way I see.
Real quick, I got his official
Yeah.
combine numbers. 6'2", 203.
Wow.
Wow,
So-
so they're listed at
he's
10
slight.
pounds lighter.
But man,
Put some respect on that man's.
man.
What a find!
Numbers.
You know, we talked about how the Rams went all in when they on the trade for Stafford.
Yeah.
it was basically not a. They didn't give up as many resources as the Browns did to get Watson, but we talked about when you're all in like that, A, you better win, which they did. B, you better draft very, very well because your resources are limited moving forward. They hit on Nakua. They hit on Williams. That's how you make bold moves.
What round did they go?
Nakua was
Fifth
fourth,
round.
fifth.
What
Fifth round pick.
about Kyron?
Kyron was 2 years ago, right?
I think.
I'll double check.
I thought he was a rookie.
No, I think this is his second year.
Yeah, he didn't play much.
How come we can't get no receivers?
I know, and they get a Nakua
They
in the
just
fifth
show
round.
up.
I'm feeling optimistic about Cedric Tillman
Kyron Williams was also a 5th-round pick, so back-to-back
God.
5th-round.
So they're laughing. They're laughing at all the conversations of you gave up 2 ones.
Oh my
Nakua and Williams are playing like ones.
Now, even though they didn't give up as much. Now they gave up a lot because they also traded Goff, who's been pretty good in Detroit.
They did, but that was a swap.
Right.
I mean,
but they also gave up. They made a trade for. They made other trades where they gave up a lot. They traded for Jalen Ramsey.
Right.
For Von Miller.
What's that,
They
Mike?
gave up picks for Von Miller, too.
Von Miller. That's
Yeah.
right. So not just in the one trade, the Browns gave up more, but
Yeah.
in total, the Rams gave up a ton of.
But you know what?
high
If
picks.
you hit on your picks,
Yeah.
if you get a start,
Now,
not
I
just a
don't-
starter, but major contributors in Williams and Nakua
Which would be
in the
major.
5th round,
He got 900
Who was
yards.
That's unreal.
And once they won the Super Bowl, it was worth it anyway. But
Sure,
now
you're
they're
right.
not, they're not terrible.
and their fans don't have to go through 3 and 14.
Right.
Now they might, because what happens after Stafford for them? They don't have the next guy.
You're
but-
right there. They've got to find another
I don't
quarterback.
know who our fifth round
Okay,
pick
Mike.
was.
Well, they have a 1st-round pick this year, and we have a 1st-round pick guest coming up in 1 second. It's Travis Rodgers of Locked On Rams podcast. But first, right now, new customers on FanDuel get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. So even as the weather gets colder, the NFL offers at FanDuel stay red hot. That's $150 if your team wins any $5 money line bet. Right now is the perfect time to join FanDuel because the app is simple to use, and there's no better time to get it on the action. They have spreads, player props, over-unders, and much, much more. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL, an official partner of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And with that, let's welcome in Travis Rodgers of the Locked On Rams podcast, who is getting ready for this game against the Browns. Travis, thanks for joining us.
Of course. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Travis. And let's start. We were just talking about those 2 late draft picks, Puka Nakua and Kyron Williams. It still pains me. I have a keeper fantasy football league that I had to trade Kyron Williams because I needed a second. It's a 2-quarterback league. My Kirk Cousins got hurt. I had no choice. It literally pained me to trade him, but I did it anyway. And then, of course, he had that monster game last week. But he's been phenomenal. Nakua's been phenomenal. Did you see either of these things coming when the season started? Because most fans outside of Rams fans probably never heard of either of these guys before the season.
Well, I'll go back to this. I go back to when Cooper Kupp first showed up a million years ago, right? And Sean McVay said from almost the first day of camp, like, no, this guy's different. You don't understand. This is not an Eastern Washington 3rd-round pick that we're going to develop into an NFL player. He's ready to go right now. And everybody kind of like, yeah, sure, great. Sure he is. He was right. He doesn't say it very often. He did say it about Nakua. He did say it about Kyron Williams. So when Sean McVay says, no, this guy has a little something special, that there's usually one thing in these guys' profile that doesn't add up to a 1st or a 2nd-round grade. In Puka's case, it's not that high-end speed, so he's going to drop down a little bit. And that's where the Rams have thrived with both him and Williams, that if Sean McVay says they're going to be pretty good players, they're going to be pretty good players because he doesn't say it about every guy that they pick. He picks and chooses who he says that about, and he said it about both of those guys.
Travis, from an outside standpoint, I always was curious. You're a Rams guy. When you look at the Cleveland Browns offense, is there anything that really scares you? What bothers you about the Browns offense?
That the Rams defense can sometimes make average quarterbacks look pretty good. That's the part. It's not like one guy. It's not like, I know Deshaun Watson's out, but okay, you're worried about him. Or Amari Cooper, you're worried about him. It's just that sometimes the Rams, they made Kenny Pickett look good for a few minutes. And it's just little pockets here and there where guys that maybe aren't super high-end guys play like super high-end guys. So I don't know if there's one player in particular. The Rams defense is kind of a no-name defense outside of the one big name in Aaron Donald. They've been a lot better the last 2 weeks, but those are division matchups that always kind of get a little bit tighter. They beat the Arizona Cardinals like a drum every time they play them. So I'm optimistic about where the Rams are, but I'm going to need to see it against somebody that's not an NFC West team, that's not the Cardinals, who they always kill, not the Eagles, who they match up pretty well against. So I do think that defense is still a question mark, even though it's been a little bit better of late.
Travis, how are the two guys, two of our old buddies? And we sent JJ3 back to the Rams, and then the other nickel corner. Who do we have?
Ty Hill, right?
Ty Hill.
No. George Hill. I gave out.
No, it's Ty.
Ty Hill.
Ty Hill. I got to write the
George Hill's a basketball player.
Yeah. How are those guys doing out there? Have they rebounded and have they made an impact for the Rams defense this year?
Well, I think John Johnson is the one that has made the most impact, and it's fairly minimal. He doesn't play a ton. I think it was more of a familiar face in the locker room that they were looking for. Like I mentioned a minute ago, this is a defense that a year ago had Jalen Ramsey, had Bobby Wagner, had Deshaun Robinson, had a guy like Greg Gaines, had all of these different players that, were brand names in the NFL to go along with Aaron Donald. Well, this year, Aaron Donald's the only one that's there. So I think they wanted to bring back a veteran guy that knew the system, that knows the organization. So that's why John Johnson was brought back. He hasn't had a huge impact on the team. They've played a lot of younger players. Jordan Fuller finally had a pretty nice game for the Rams for the first time in a while last week against Arizona. So those two guys, Hill isn't really a factor at all. But you look at Johnson, it's more of a veteran presence than anything he's bringing to the field on any given Sunday.
Travis, it's always fun to watch the home crowd for the LA teams. And
Maybe
I'm curious. I'm curious. We know that the Browns have backers in every major city. They're a well-followed team. What do you think the crowd's going to be like Sunday? What will the split be like?
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of orange, right? And this is just life in Los Angeles. Whether it's the Chargers or whether it's the Rams, the opposing team's fans fill up SoFi Stadium, and especially when it's a team that doesn't come through a whole lot. When it's the Seahawks or somebody that's in the division that comes through, it's kind of found its own level. But when it's somebody from outside the market, especially a big city like Cleveland, like you mentioned, that has a lot of fans, I would bet, if I had to put a bet, I'll say 70-30 orange to blue.
Wow.
And I'll be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if that's low. Because when we've seen teams like the Bills, like the Steelers, like these teams that don't come in a lot, it's lopsided. The Cowboys come in regularly, and they still fill it up about 60-70%. So I expect the same from the Browns fans.
Wow.
Matthew Stafford, obviously, we know what he did for L.A., goes and wins a championship, and once that happens, it's worth it. But where is he now? I called him mediocre at this point in his career. Is that fair? Is he a little better than that? What do you say?
I think he's a lot better than that.
Okay.
I think that he's the reason they're in the position that they're in. If you told me at the beginning of the season that the Rams would play their first game in December and have their own playoff future in their own hand, I would have thought you're nuts. Wow. And here's where it is. They have a chance to go to the playoffs if they take care of business against the teams they want to do. Statistically, it's not great. But the eye test, the only time they're in games is when he's cranking. When he's good, they win. When he's good, they're in it. If he has one of his games where, maybe he throws a couple interceptions, or usually it's more a function of an offensive line that can't give him any time, or Kyron Williams being out and they don't have any sort of running game to speak of. But when he's good and he has just this much time, he's still, I think, as good as just about anybody that's not a Mahomes or a Jackson or an Allen or something like that. I think he's at the top of that next tier of quarterbacks. When he's good, the Rams always have a chance. The numbers won't show it to you, but the eye test will.
Travis, I think it was last season, it was like a bunch of people that was flirting retirement. Aaron Donald, even Sean McVay. Do you think that this could be like the last hoorah with them? How long do you think that these guys continue to play? Matt Stafford, Sean McVay, Aaron Donald. How long do you think that these guys stay with the Rams? I
think the clock's ticking. And I don't know if it's at the end of this year. I don't know if it's at the end of next year. I think the fact that they're competitive again, and I heard you guys talking before I came on, the Rams have a full complement of draft picks for the first time since Jared Goff in 2016. They have a first-round pick. They have money to spend.
Wow.
So they haven't picked in the first round since Jared Goff.
7 years in a row.
They're going to be better next year. They're already a little ahead of schedule. Aaron Donald is still playing at a high level. Matthew Stafford, like we just talked about, I think is still a highly functioning NFL quarterback. They don't have their replacement on the roster. I think the one name that we've heard a lot about that was a part of the big star package with the Rams that maybe isn't anymore is Cooper Kupp. I don't know if Puka Nacua kind of slides into that role moving forward, but I don't think I don't think that McVay is going anywhere anytime soon. I think if that was going to happen, it would have happened already. He's still a young guy. He loves coaching football. I think that this was supposed to be the second year in a kind of let's get this thing together, and I think they kind of juiced it a little bit. I think they're going to be good again next year. I don't think any of those guys are going to leave anytime soon.
Yeah, it really does, Travis, feel like they've survived what is supposed to be the low end of the talent cycle. You know, typically the way the draft is set up and everything else, teams are supposed to be good, and then they're supposed to be bad, and it's supposed to, wash, rinse, repeat. But they spent an inordinately small amount of time at the bottom of that talent cycle. I want to touch on something that you said earlier, because it's kind of been a running theme for our show really this season. You said if you look at the numbers, Stafford isn't great, but the eye test tells you he is. We said the same thing last week when the Browns lost to Russ. He threw for 135 yards. They were critical yards. Do you feel that there's a transition underway in the league from what just 3 or 4 years ago was a throw it all over the stadium league, and those passing offenses were clearly the upper echelon? It feels to us like the defense has circled the wagons and it's becoming more of a defensive league. Do you concur?
It's funny. So I'll go back a few weeks ago. It was the 5th anniversary of that Chiefs-Rams Monday night game where the final score is 54-51.
That might have been the apex of it.
Right. I agree. And it was one of those, okay, Sean McVay broke the NFL. He's going to score 50 points every single week. There's no one's ever going to be able to. Well, that obviously didn't happen. And I think you're right. I think we're back in that cycle of, the guys on the other side of the ball get paid too. Those defensive coordinators, they get paid too. And they'll sit in that room with their little laser and figure out what's going on at some point. And, okay, if we do this and put this guy here. And I think we're just kind of coming back through it again. I think that when the next guy or the next idea comes through, it'll start to change back the other way. But right now it's more of make a play here or there. Don't turn the ball over. The days of, 40 points a game, that season with the Rams, they only scored fewer than 30 points twice that whole year. And now they've gone over 30 once this whole year. So it's a talent issue. It's a cycle issue. But I agree with you. I think it's swung back the other way.
Mike?
Travis, we marvel at what Myles Garrett does on a weekly basis here in Cleveland. Some of the stuff he does, we come in and we say we've never seen it before, and he gets sacks, and he hasn't won Defensive Player of the Year yet, but he's in the conversation. You get to watch Aaron Donald do something similar in L.A., and you've done so for a while. Is it possible to put into context or words just how good Aaron Donald has been and is still playing at this point of his career?
I'll put it to you like this. Aaron Donald has 2 330-pound guys trying to prevent him where he wants to go, and they fail every time. Every single time. That if he wants to go where he wants to go, there is no game plan with him with one person. There's rarely a game plan with him with 2. And because the Rams are still kind of looking for that next guy, Byron Young's kind of started to develop into that guy. Oftentimes he's dealing with triple teams, and he still frequently makes plays. I think you're right. I think you guys getting to see Myles Garrett gives you an idea of what an unstoppable defensive force looks like, and the Rams have had one for the better part of 10 years. And the way that he got started this year, I'm like, is this the first time that Aaron Donald maybe isn't quite that guy? Nope. He's still Donald, and he's still doing it, and it's a real pleasure to get to watch him for as long as we have.
He got TLTFL.
He's the second highest graded D tackle according to PFF still.
Who's first?
Just even numbers. Dexter Lawrence of the Giants.
For us, we've talked about it here. Sometimes I kind of compared it to defensive linemen. On the other hand, we talk about whether Zadarius Smith has had a down year, whether he's been disappointing. I say, sometimes you get this thing where defensive linemen, you're trying to develop other guys to be a running mate, and it just seems like they're just looking at Myles Garrett and being like, oh, yeah, he's pretty good, or Aaron Donald. And I would even say it's more impressive. I always give the nod to a defensive tackle who's that dominant, because it is just that more difficult to get. You're in the phone booth, and the way he's able to get to the quarterback, It's just it's amazing. It's just to me, he's the best defensive tackle ever. He may be the best defensive lineman ever.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'll go a step further. I think if you're just talking about the best defensive players of all time, I think he's on the short list. You know, you're talking Reggie White, you're talking Lawrence Taylor, maybe Ronnie Lott, but I think Aaron Donald fits on that list. I don't think that he's out of place with those guys at all, and he's still doing it. You know, this is a guy that's been here for a while, and it's still a guy that every time the offense breaks the huddle, they're looking for number 99. Where is he? How are we going to try to slow him down? And most of the time, they still can't do it. He's once in a generation. He's been the best player on this team from the moment they showed up in L.A. He probably still is, and probably still will be for a couple more seasons.
Travis, give us your game plan right now. If you are Sean McVay, how are you attacking the Browns' defense?
Kyren Williams. Just keep doing it. Get the ball to Puka when you need to do it. Get the ball to Kupp. Kupp has not been particularly good for them over the last 5 weeks. His high catch mark over the last 5 weeks is just 4 receptions. He's been very, very average so far this year. He had a couple of good games when he came back after missing the first 4. He really hasn't been very good beyond that. Williams is kind of the guy that makes it go. I'm not comparing him to Todd Gurley because Gurley did it for a long time at a high level, but the last couple of games where he's been available, it's been Gurley-like, and the best version of that Rams offense is when they can run it and they can throw it to the running back out of the backfield, and Williams is that guy. So I expect to see a ton of him on Sunday.
What's your prediction for the game there, Travis?
I think, the Rams have not really scored a ton of points most of the games this season. Like I mentioned, they've only been over 30 once all year long. That was last week against Arizona. I think it's probably played in the high teens, low 20s. The Rams have to have this game if they're going to make a playoff push. This is, they're not going to beat Baltimore next week. They're probably not going to beat San Francisco in Week 18 up in San Francisco. So that means they need to win the remainder of the games that they have left on their schedule. And this is one that they have to have. I think they know that. I think they come out with everything they got, and I think they win a low-scoring, close game.
All right. Very
Thanks,
good.
Travis.
Travis Rodgers, you are very good at your job. Just excellent information. And you handled it all very, very well done. So we appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate you.
Really good. He's really good.
I hope the Browns understand. I hope the Browns have the same urgency he says the Rams have.
Yeah.
They know they got to have it, and they better come out with everything they got because the schedule does not get better. I want to see if the Browns come out with that same level of urgency to say we need to 8-4. It looks a lot better than
like the
7-5.
Rams. The Browns playoff hopes are in their hands.
Jags?
Yeah, next week is it Jags at home?
I think so.
After this is Jags, yes.
Yeah.
They gotta win.
Because otherwise you could be, even though it's a home game, you could be looking at a 3-game losing streak at the worst possible time.
Yeah.
You can't start December that way.
You gotta have it.
It's a
Gotta
very pivotal game.
You know, he mentioned Aaron Donald, one of the greatest defensive players of all time. I'm sure we'd all agree with
Yeah,
that.
would you guys agree with that?
100%.
I do too.
And what's amazing is all the guys he mentioned
Of
certainly
all
there.
time,
Well, maybe
Ty,
not the best, but in the conversation.
Deion Sanders.
Ty, I'll tell you what though. No, he's in there too. He's the
Bias.
one guy he left off. Lawrence Taylor, obviously. To me, if the way you make that argument is the 2 splash plays that he made on 3rd and 4th down in the Super Bowl won the Rams the Super Bowl.
The 100%.
I think the Bengals were going to win that game.
They absolutely
You
were.
felt like, here they come. They needed a play on 3rd down, and they needed a play on 4th down, and he put his cape on, and he made the splash play on the biggest stage at the biggest moment in the game. And to me, that's what puts you in the all-time
If
great
you
discussion.
go back and look at it, I can't remember now if it was Chase or Higgins. I can't remember, but
He was open.
they were
open.
Burrow was just about, if he had a quarter of a second
You're right.
more to
It
throw,
would have been a
it would have
Bengals
game-winning
Super Bowl
touchdown.
victory.
Yeah.
And Jalen Ramsey was getting beat like a drum that game.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was all Aaron
But to
Donald.
me, I mean, I need those great players. That's what I've always said about Myles Garrett, and he's starting to do that this year, which is why he's in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year.
Right.
But for me, Aaron Donald, you rarely see a defensive player do that to win a Super Bowl.
Well, he's the only one of that list that's played in this massive offensive era, too.
Yeah, you're
which
right.
is a disadvantage to him.
Deion would have had 10 picks.
I know this will be controversial.
Don't
I
say it.
would not put Deion on the list of the greatest players ever on defense.
Bull,
What?
you lost all credibility.
Why? No, wait.
Because he's a one-dimensional player.
What you
I
mean?
know, but he did it so
He was
well.
so great at that one. He'd be. Obviously.
He was one-dimensional.
Let me
Bull's not
clarify.
wrong.
Let me clarify.
Yeah,
It's
go ahead,
not that
clarify
I
that,
wouldn't
though.
have him on a list of, top 20,
Clarify
whatever.
that,
Yeah.
clarify
But I
that.
wouldn't put him with these other guys because they were two-dimensional players and he was not.
Corners have never been two-dimensional.
Yeah, I mean, for what he did, and for what he did it better than anybody's ever done.
Agreed.
It. But I do. There is some credence to what Bull says. I need my corner to get his nose in there and make tackles.
Do you think
sometimes.
Deion Sanders is a better football player than Lawrence Taylor?
Hey, listen. Deion,
I don't know. Not to me.
Deion gets you pick sixes, though.
I understand. I'm not saying.
So
we're not debating that Deion's not great.
Deion's impact on the game
This is blasphemous.
directly correlates not only defensively but offensively as well
This
because he's
blasphemous.
putting points on the board.
Well, how many pick sixes did he have in his career?
We can't even talk about
10.
that.
Didn't
I
he-
think this came up the other
I'm about
day.
to say, yeah.
I mean, so how much of an impact is that? It's one
Well,
a year.
You might look that up. I
Oh,
think it
Lord
came up when I was
Jesus.
watching when who's the defensive back that just had
Deron
5 in the season?
Bland.
Bland.
He has
Yeah.
nine in his career.
Okay, 9 in his career. That's pretty good.
Deion,
Yeah, but that's not.
Jesus, Lord.
I'm not
Lord.
denigrating it. I'm saying look at the reality of that. That's
Lord.
one a year.
Jay Bush, hold on. Jay Bush is about
So
to-
wait a minute. So another
You think
thing.
Deion is a better player than Lawrence
So
Taylor?
another element.
Go
Deion
ahead, Tyvis. I'll
had
wait.
the whole left side of a
I'll wait.
field
I'll wait. Go ahead.
gone.
You guys are missing the point.
The whole you wouldn't even
We're
look
not debating
that
how good
way.
he is. Of course he was great.
I'm just saying direct impact. He gonna put points on the board and he's gonna eliminate a whole side of
Which
a
he did.
field.
Agreed.
As a court, so now if a defensive coordinator, I can
Tyvis,
put everybody
all
over
I'm
there.
saying is if I had to rank all the defensive players all time, he'd be somewhere between 6 and 10 and not between 1 and 5. That's all I'm saying.
I think he'd be in my top 5 for sure. But when you ask the question this way, if you're starting an all-time draft and you can take Taylor or Deion,
I
to
would
me,
take Taylor.
I've got to think about that.
Oh, you
but I
definitely
think
gotta
at
think
the
about
end of the day, because Lawrence, he changed the game forever.
Lawrence Taylor.
Lawrence Taylor did.
Yes.
The way he played the position. Deion did it on physical skills. Like, he just was such a freak. Make your point, though. And where would you put Deion in the all-time defensive player
Man,
conversation?
you got to think, Deion Sanders is playing in the era of the greatest receivers of all time. When you say I'm locking up with Jerry Rice, when I'm mano-a-mano with guys like Michael Irvin, when I'm out there playing against Art Monk and guys like that, bro, listen, Deion Sanders is the first and only corner to matter. Like it's,
Well, we're not debating the best corners.
No. He's the first corner that you even knew. Like when you change the game so much that it's just you. No one even knew about corners. They're like, I'll go draft 2 or 3 corners, throw them around, and do something. Deion Sanders changed the way people even looked at throwing the football in the field. You couldn't even throw over there. He took the whole half of this field and said, don't even think about it.
So where is he for you in the pantheon of
He's
great
definitely.
defensive
Listen,
players?
so I've thought about this. My countdowns always go. I flip flop. I got Reggie White in my top 5. I got Lawrence Taylor in the top 5.
Yeah.
I have Deion Sanders in the top 5.
Yeah.
I have Ronnie Lott in the top 5. And now
Aaron Donald?
And now I have Aaron Donald.
And what
in the
about
top
Reggie
5.
White? Did you say Reggie
Yeah,
White?
Reggie
That
was
was
his
first.
first.
That's 5.
Okay, so Deion. So I'm saying Deion's 5, 6, 7, 8.
No, that ain't what you said.
You said
no,
he's
that
he
is
was
not
6 to
what you
10.
said.
You said he is not a
Yeah,
top.
you said you're not a top.
I would not put him in
You
the
said top
In the
20.
top. No, I didn't say top.
Yes,
No, he
you
said
did.
6 to 10.
I'm
All right,
saying
if you wanna-
6 to 10. That's what I'm
Okay,
saying.
if you want to amend the, I will give you 6 to 10.
6 to 10.
It's a preference.
I'm just
Okay.
saying I would. Lawrence Taylor, Aaron Donald, Reggie White. Those guys are impactful run and pass.
Yeah.
And Deion wasn't. There's no debate. Deion's the greatest corner of all time.
I also think the one thing Deion adds to it was as his return skills.
That's another one.
So and so.
Well, we
so-
were just talking defense in this
No,
game.
no, I know we
Yeah.
were,
but he added skills to his game, and he played offense.
He put points
He
on the
played
board.
offense.
Yeah, now
I'm
that
not-
would be a
I'm
different.
not
Now,
saying
now if we
Deion-
talk best football player, you got to consider all
Deion
that.
is obviously an all-time great player. I'm just saying I wouldn't put him in the same conversation with those guys.
Oh, he's in that
me.
room.
He's
Okay.
definitely in that
Good,
room.
Mike.
We're going to go to our schedule game here in a sec. And first, we usually do Behind the Glass on Wednesdays. No Behind the Glass today. Ant's not feeling great. Earl's not feeling great. So we're going to do it tomorrow. So scheduling alert, Behind the Glass will be on tomorrow. Not today. We apologize for any inconvenience, but we will hop on that tomorrow. Jay, you mentioned it earlier, but we always look at when the schedule is released. It's a big schedule release week. We know who the Browns will play, but when they play them is just as important. But talking about that before the season leaves everything up in the air. Now we're about 60% through the season. We have a little bit of revisionist history to add some context to this whole discussion. So we're going to go through team by team and see whether or not the Browns actually hit the jackpot on the schedule odds, or if they kind of got screwed over by the NFL, which obviously is unintentional by the NFL. They can't predict how these teams go. Are you guys ready? We'll
Yes,
go through
sir.
team by team.
Ready.
Let's start with Cincinnati, who the Browns played in Week 1 and will play on the road in Week 18. Week 1, Joe Burrow was coming off a calf injury. Week 18, no Joe Burrow. So did the Browns get lucky, unlucky, or pretty neutral?
Yeah, I
is when
think
they
that was pretty
They hit the
obvious.
pay dirt on
Yeah.
both.
Yeah, right.
Home run.
Both of those were home
Yeah.
runs because they had a limited Joe Burrow in Week 1 and no Joe Burrow in Week 18.
Right. Yeah.
Home
Are we
run.
supposed to be writing this down?
I don't know.
No,
We'll
it's
write
just
down.
discussion. Just discussion.
just
Yeah.
talking.
Some of these
Yeah.
I think will be pretty
What-
unanimous.
What is that? I thought you said that we were pushing this back to tomorrow. Did I misunderstand you?
No, true or false?
Oh, true or false?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I misheard.
Why would you do that?
Well,
He
yeah,
just
for
said
next
because
week.
Anthony
Not-
and Earl
not
are
till
sick.
tomorrow.
Earl's
No,
still
behind the
here?
glass is pushed back to tomorrow.
Oh.
Yeah, you're lost in the sauce. This
It's
Dion-
Never
because you
mind.
said
Conversation
Dion
is
every
going
time.
on.
I'm still throwing off for
Bandana.
I said something bad about Dion and all hell's broken.
You know what? On
I
that
said he's the
point,
sixth best
on
player
that
in the-
point, let's wrap up the Dion conversation.
Yeah.
I hate to interrupt the schedule game.
Yeah.
But this is it raised my eyebrows. Steve, our coordinating producer, sent this to us on text message. Deion Sanders versus Jerry Rice. They played 10 times against one another. They were teammates for a stretch, too, I
Right.
think. So 10 times Deion locked up with Jerry. Any guess on how many yards Jerry had in those 10
I'm
games
guessing
combined?
it wasn't good.
I'm willing to put him number one after if this number is what I think it is. 68.
68 yards in 10 games total?
No.
68 yards? That's
Well, how many? 10 games. I mean,
10
hell, if he had 50 a
games?
game, it's 500.
I say 600.
600?
550.
1,051 yards.
Jeez.
and 10 touchdowns.
10 touchdowns.
Oh!
That means
He
that
scored
means
once every
on
game?
average,
Jerry owned Dion.
Jerry averaged 105 yards and a touchdown every time he lined up
That's
against the greatest corner ever to do it. What that is to me, that is more an endorsement of Jerry Rice as the
I'm
greatest
gonna say.
of all time, and that really should end that argument because I've never seen that stat.
That is amazing.
To me, it shows that when you put the best corner of all time against the best wide receiver of all time, the best wide receiver didn't just win, he dominated him. Another stat that's interesting. Dion had 4 of his 53 career interceptions versus Rice. But it tells me Montana and Young were not afraid
Right.
to attack Dion because they knew that Jerry was going to win those
And
matchups.
when he played,
Jerry.
corners had a much bigger advantage than they have now.
Oh, they did it. They did.
I'm zero trying to denigrate Deion Sanders. He's the greatest
Right.
corner of all time. When I said top 20, I was crazy. I went too far. He's certainly one of the greatest players ever. I'm just not putting him in the same. To me, the guys that were all-time great against run and pass would just be ahead of him.
Yeah,
That's all.
and that's fair. That's fair. And I think 6 to 10. I think I do have him at number 5.
Yeah.
After hearing everybody's list, but it's not egregious to put him 6 to 10. I don't think it is, especially
these
when you
guys
look
do.
at that stat.
Well,
that's
You're
stat.
arguing over one spot on an all-time list.
Yeah,
It comes down to
that's a
preference.
barbershop argument.
It
I mean,
comes
you
down
can
to
go
preference.
either way.
Listen. If you listen, I married Vanna White. She's not super bottle, but that's Vanna White.
Yeah.
She's been on TV for a long time.
By the way, we could argue.
You can do
You
worse.
did pretty well for yourself.
I'm not gonna argue.
By the
about
way, we're
that.
going to argue. I don't think Jerry Rice is the best receiver of all time.
I do. I do.
Wait a minute. We're not diving into that
do you
route
have?
right
I got him third.
Who you
He's going to say
have?
Randy Moss first.
Randy Moss 1 and Calvin Johnson 2.
Calvin Johnson.
Randy Moss didn't win a Super Bowl.
Well, that's not his fault.
No, I know, but Jerry Rice carried teams to Super Bowls.
No, he didn't. He had
did.
Hall of
He
Fame
had great
quarterbacks.
Well, look at Randy Moss played with
we could do this
statistically
another
the
day.
greatest team ever to play.
Rice's
didn't win it.
Rice's numbers are better than Jim Brown's numbers.
In terms of if you're going to compare the
That's
two votes.
amazing.
I'm going eye test. I saw them both play. Jerry Rice was amazing. I would take Moss and Calvin
I
Johnson.
got to tell you, that stat against Deion Sanders to me is
Very
mind blowing.
It is.
Mind blowing because that's
Gee, did
goat
you see?
versus
Are you
goat.
old enough to have seen Rice play?
Oh yeah.
So you think he was better than Randy Moss?
It's the difference between splash plays and you can't guard me.
Look at the quarterback. how many
His
years?
levels-
How many years did Moss play with New England? 2.
I think 1 or 2.
I think 2, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't
Okay.
much.
What were the other quarterbacks he played with?
In
Dante
Minnesota, he would have
Culpepper?
been with Brad Johnson,
Dante Culpepper.
Dante
I mean, come on.
Culpepper.
Who is he winning Oakland?
Jerry Rice played with Hall of Famers his whole career.
Jerry
the
Rice,
Oakland quarterback?
Jerry Rice with Gannon, with Rich Gannon,
Was it Rich Gannon?
had
Was it?
1,300 yards, and he was 50. He almost 40 years old.
Okay,
Who
Randy.
you talking about? Rich Gannon?
Jerry Rice.
Jerry Rice.
Jerry Rice.
Jerry Rice
Randy
had what
Moss
now?
never had a bad year, and he mostly played.
Oakland?
with
Man, went Oakland.
Okay, 1 year.
You said never.
What did he do a year
The
in
San
Oakland?
Francisco 49ers.
What did he do in Oakland?
Nothing.
What did he do in Seattle? Was
Is it
Jerry-
worth the poll,
was
or
Jerry-
do too many of our viewers not see Jerry Rice? I'm thinking a lot of our viewers
Listen,
probably.
Jerry Rice is amazing.
I'll put it up there.
Honestly, we're debating 1, 2, and 3 all
Jerry
the time.
Yeah,
Rice
we're
is
splitting
fun.
hairs, but it's
Yeah.
an interesting.
Hey.
It's a very interesting comment.
Yeah.
And I have to say, physically, give me Randy Moss all day, every day.
And for one,
And Calvin
for
Johnson.
one game,
Calvin
for-
Johnson was a
Yeah, I mean,
Megatron. He was a
For
freak.
one season, I would take Randy Moss.
But when you look at what
One
Jerry
season.
Rice,
One season,
Yeah,
I'd take
sure.
Randy
I remember the first
But
time I ever
Jerry
stood
Rice
next
played
to
with
Jerry
two of the
Rice, I
greatest-
literally was like, really?
Jerry
Right,
Rice
tripping.
played the majority of his career with the two of the greatest quarterbacks.
That's without
You know.
question, you're right.
And yeah, I'm just saying he's third.
Well,
I'm
he
not
played
trying
with
to-
Montana, Young, and Tom Brady. So he played with 3 of the greatest quarterbacks.
Jerry Rice played with Tom Brady.
No.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm talking
yeah.
about Randy Moss. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm saying,
I'm getting Randy Moss confused.
Hold on. Let's be clear.
T.O.
Let's
should
be
be
clear.
in
Let's
there.
be
That
clear.
would have been a great.
This man, Jerry Rice,
Jerry got everything,
has
don't he?
1,549 receptions.
Yeah, the numbers are absurd.
22,000 yards and 197 touchdowns.
gonna never-
There was
They ain't gonna touch that.
Oh my gosh!
How many years did he play, though?
Forever.
I think 14 or no more than that. He was in his 40s.
It's like LeBron.
So probably
Nobody was
20.
consistently good as long as Rice, no doubt.
Ever.
But at their peak, I would take Calvin Johnson and Moss over Rice.
What is
See, now that's an interesting.
What
So
is
if you put it
Jerry's
that way,
best
like if you give me their
numbers?
best year,
Yeah.
probably Moss.
Yeah.
Moss in New England
That's
when
what
they
I said,
rewrote the
1 year
offensive
season, I'm
record
taking
book,
Moss.
that was insane. But for a career, I'm taking Jerry Rice.
I mean, I'm looking at it here though. Like
Who's 4? Who's
Jerry,
number 4?
Jerry
Chris
Rice.
Carter was way up there.
Jerry Rice in
Number
1995.
T.O. No, I'm just.
Jerry-
Actually, he could. He could be. He actually could be.
This is devastating. At the age of 33,
Michael Irvin.
he's 33 at the time.
Yeah.
Jerry Rice had 176 targets, 122 catches for 1,848 yards and 15 touchdowns at the age of 33.
That's
Who was he?
ridiculous.
Where was he at that point?
San Francisco.
Yeah, I mean-
By the way,
That's
he did.
is that his best year?
That's close to his best year, but his year in 2002, which might even be more impressive, is the fact that he was playing with Oakland, 92 receptions for 1,211 yards and 7 touchdowns, and he was 41 years old.
He was
That's
magnificent.
funny. That's hilarious.
Tyvis, you think that's like me.
I'm gonna let you know.
insane.
I'm gonna let you know
That's
something.
insane.
That's
I'ma let you know something.
41?
I'd still take Moss at his best.
At 40,
over Rice.
at 41, he ain't doing nothing like that to me. I'm gonna just tell you. I
I'm
don't
gonna tackle him.
Yeah. It's I take PI every play. I'm not. You
All
not
right, do
putting
you
no
guys
numbers
agree
up on
that
me.
Calvin Johnson and Moss are the other 2 of the top 3?
I would.
or is there somebody else?
T.O.
I'm not
think-
taking T over
I-
any of those guys.
Michael
I'm not
Irvin?
either. I'm taking Moss.
I'm not taking
and
Irvin.
Chris Carter.
Terrell Owens has crazy numbers.
T.O.'s
bro.
numbers ridiculous.
Chris Carter.
Calvin Johnson retired young because he was sick of losing. I'll be stuck on crap.
he was beat up.
You know, Emmitt Smith's got better career numbers than Barry Sanders. Who's taking Emmitt Smith over Barry
Yeah,
Sanders?
well, that is one
Okay,
case
so-
where you can say clearly longevity. But Bull, I got to tell you, because it's a warrior sport,
Yeah.
you get a lot of points in my book for
Absolutely,
longevity. A lot
absolutely.
of points. And Barry doesn't get points for tapping out early, and I
Larry
don't
Fitzgerald?
give Megatron points for tapping out early.
Fair, but at their best, who you taking?
said
Sanders
Larry
or
Rose.
Rice?
That's a
Gerald.
different. That's a
Right,
different question.
he's up there.
And
That's
you're
how
probably-
I'm looking at it for career-wise. Yeah, you got to give it to Rice, but
Yeah.
at their best, I would take
Yeah.
Calvin Johnson.
Moss's
and
year in
not
New
by
England-
a lot over Rice, but by a pinch.
Moss's year in New England, when he had 23 touchdowns, he had 1,493 yards, 98 receptions.
He had how many touchdowns?
23.
One out of every 4 catches were a
ridiculous.
touchdown.
His rookie year was almost the most impressive. He had 1,300 yards and 17 touchdowns as a rookie.
I was at his first pro game ever.
One-
it was against
like
the
I
Buccaneers,
said-
and he scored 3 touchdowns. And everybody in the press box, well, they all knew he was going to be good. Remember, he slipped in the draft.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Everybody in the press box was looking at each other like, "This is it. This is what the new greatest wide receiver ever looks like." He was making catches. He was high pointing balls.
And
1
just
foot
jogging,
tapped.
absolute
he was
freak.
jogging past people.
Yeah, he was.
Guys were
never
full,
looked like he was
guys
running.
were full out turning it out, Tyvis.
And then
blown hamstrings out.
Then to
He's just
disrespect you like this. Touchdown.
He was the 100-meter
Wow.
dash champion in West Virginia.
When you say he has listen, when you get words in a dictionary, when you get dunked on, right?
Yeah, you get mossed.
It is called mossed.
Yeah, that's true.
By the way, after his third year in the league, you would have thought Odell would have been on this list. After year 3, his first 3 years in the league, he was as good as anybody.
Oh, him and Jarvis's first 3
Well,
years.
Jarvis too.
I'm about to say
Jarvis, a couple years.
Jarvis had his
was the
first
old-
3 years was
He was
ridiculous.
wasn't he the first receiver ever to have 100 receptions in
100
his first 3?
You guys just got
No,
out
I
of
think he
pocket.
was the first since Marvin Harrison, maybe?
I don't know.
You just got out of
remember.
pocket.
They don't. The
Jarvis
numbers,
Landry wasn't Odell Beckham.
No,
Not even close.
Jarvis Landry's production
Was really good.
was right on.
In,
par with
in
Odell
Miami,
Beckham.
yes,
He
he
never
was.
even had 1,200 yards.
watch this.
Did he never have 12?
His rookie
He
year,
had a bunch of catches.
His rookie year,
Jarvis Landry's stats are the most ridiculously.
crazy.
I don't say he had a ton of catches, but he had no yards
Yeah.
ever.
all he caught was
You
drag.
guys were
He
completely
did catch a lot of
All he
drives.
caught was drag.
84 receptions his rookie year. Second year, 110 receptions. Third year, 94 receptions.
Well, how many yards did he have in those 3 years?
Fourth year, 112 receptions.
I know that.
So-
We all know his stats,
so-
but they're not. They were
Well, he had
never. We
112
argued about this before. He never
receptions
had a Hall
for
of Fame season.
987 yards.
1,157, 1,136.
0 Hall of Fame seasons.
My boy Mike Thomas.
A lot of
had
yards.
over 100
Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
this is crazy.
Odell was putting up
Bucks.
insane numbers. There's no comparison between
If
the two.
if we could have this back,
Yeah.
Jarvis Landry's worst year here, or one of his better years here, is 83 catches for 1,174 yards,
look
6
pretty good
touchdowns.
now.
Yeah.
We ain't
I take-
sniffing that.
Well, nobody else.
Amari
now.
Cooper
You
will.
can make a
We
case.
talking
that
about
was
Amari
his
Cooper's
best
better
season.
than that.
Yeah.
Odell had 1,000 that year too.
We had 2
Yeah.
receivers with
I know.
1,000.
2.
Yes.
And
Oh,
Chubb
we
had,
ain't-
and
we
Chubb
ain't
had
sniffing
1,000
that.
yards.
Yeah,
we ain't sniffing
3,000 yards.
Amari Cooper is better these last 2 years than Landry or Beckham were here.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a fact.
Yeah.
We'd like to have one of those guys have that production with Amari Cooper.
Back to the schedule game.
Yes.
Sorry,
So we're actually going to postpone the schedule game till tomorrow because Mary Kay just put out an article,
Uh-oh.
and I want to read the headline.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Browns' Myles Garrett actually likely does have structural damage in his left shoulder, but is determined to keep playing.
So
Now, I read the article real quick.
Why they be lying like this?
I read the article. Hold on. It's not an actual report. It's a little more Mary Kay speculation. But she said, and I
Mary
will
Kay knows
read-
something, or she's not putting that on paper.
Ever.
I'm reading. This is
I know.
word for word from Mary Kay's article. I'll read you the first 3 paragraphs real quick. Quote from Mary Kay's article. Myles Garrett actually likely does have some structural damage in his left shoulder.
Okay, that's a statement.
Aggravated during Sunday's 29-12 loss to the Broncos, but he's determined to keep playing. Given the fact that Garrett, quote, felt a pop during the game and couldn't lift his shoulder afterwards, it's highly unlikely that there's no damage inside. It does not mean it will keep him from playing or that he'll need surgery, but there's an issue in the shoulder that's been bothering him for a while, and it got worse Sunday. In fact, it could be an aggravation of the AC joint sprain from flipping his Porsche last season, or it could be something new, such as a partial dislocation where the ball slips out of the socket and then pops back in. Whatever the case, he's likely going to be playing in pain the rest of the season and could be limited at times.
So my guess there is she's talked to a doctor. Probably not a doctor that has seen his scans, but I mean, we know what a pop is. A pop is never good.
My guess
and
is...
I think she's probably right on point with that.
My guess is that somebody from Myles' camp told her
may well have
to, if he
his
doesn't
agent,
play as well,
perhaps. Perhaps. Now, you can understand why Myles wants to play. Two reasons. This team is close to a playoff spot. But also, he has publicly stated his desire to win Defensive Player of the Year.
Right.
He's never been closer to that award, in my estimation, than he is right now.
Right, but he, a couple of weeks ago, people, I think we asked the question, has he already won the award? Which
No,
was
that's
a stupid
obscene.
question
That's
to ask.
just, no.
Because if he
goes out the next game, the answer is clearly no.
Right, if he doesn't play well down the stretch, he's not going to win it. He hasn't done enough at this
But
point.
you can say it this way.
Yeah.
If his numbers extrapolate out and he projects for the back 8 like he did the front 9, he's the Defensive Player of the Year. I do think that his desire to win that award and the fact that he's never been closer is also driving him.
100%,
Here's my fear. I really want to know what's the chance that he does more damage to the shoulder, and it could become a career issue down the road if he plays and plays hurt.
I want to know why he got it taped up. Like, why was he it already?
Well, she said there was already an issue.
Yeah,
going
he was
into the
dealing
game.
with it. I think he's been dealing with it since the accident.
Since the accident, yeah. That's the same shoulder, right?
It is the same shoulder.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean,
but didn't he say he was getting like surgery or something?
I don't think he ever had surgery on the shoulder.
If you go back and watch, there's a documentary that he has out on YouTube. It's really cool. They talk about the different things he does in the off season to get ready to play, and he has all these different doctors. He has like a nutritionist and a sleep study guy and a personal trainer, and they talk about all the different things that he does to get ready. It's worth going to watch. It's out there on the internet. Because he actually takes a lot of his cues from LeBron James and being able to get back and be able to play. And I think he talked about in that documentary the stuff that he does has allowed him not to have these sort of invasive surgeries. So the move is now a lot of people are going towards, the thought process for a lot of people back in the day was you get scoped, you scrape it out, you do different things. But now people are realizing that that cartilage or whatever you need to get cleaned out, you don't never get that back. You don't get that cushioning.
And when you cut, there's always scar tissue.
It's always going to be some residual damage. So he's doing everything he can in order.
I wonder, did he have any of LeBron's guys on his team?
He had. I don't know if he had him on his team, but he spoke specifically about how LeBron.
Isn't he
LeBron
signed
had
to
those.
Clutch Sports?
What's that?
Ain't he signed to Clutch Sports?
I'm not sure. I don't know if he is.
I think the bottom.
I think he is.
If he is, I wouldn't be surprised if there's
Yeah.
carryover between LeBron's team and Myles.
The most important part of the story is that we have to expect him not to play at 100% the rest of the year.
I think that's it. That's the bottom line.
And how good is he going to be? It seemed like the game against Denver was his least effective game this year. I think.
I would
least
imagine
effective.
that it was his
By
lowest
far.
PFF grade.
Was it, Mike?
His lowest PFF grade, I'll double check, but is by far his least productive as far
Yeah,
as
I mean,
the
yeah,
additional box score numbers go.
And so, are we going to get if the Myles Garrett we saw against Denver is the guy we're going to see the rest of the way? Well, that's a big problem for the Browns.
Is that going to be enough? That just on the production, obviously.
Now he'll probably
It
be
was his
better.
lowest,
'cause-
by the way, Jay.
It was his lowest graded PFF.
Yeah.
Now he was going up against the stalwart too.
Do you
and
think-
that has to be taken into
Do you
account.
think the Cleveland Browns are not great at diagnosing shoulder injuries?
I think they're not good at being transparent up front. I told you this Tuesday when I came down here. Monday we watched the news conference in the sports office upstairs, and the skepticism was at 100.
Yeah.
We were like, nope,
I don't
not buying
believe-
it.
yeah.
Not buying it. There's something more.
Mary
We're
Kay
not buying
said
it.
yesterday that
I wasn't buying it either, though.
He answered the question, but it was a two-part question, so
And
maybe
he answered the more favorable part.
Yeah, right. So who knows? But at this point, especially when it comes to shoulders, there's been so much.
Well, I told you I listened to the post game because
Yeah.
I worked on the post game show, and when he said it, he was just like, I felt the pop in it,
Yeah.
and it was like, will you be able to go? He said, well, you know how I am. I always want to be out there with my guys. I don't want to do anything to hurt this team, but if I can go, I can go. They was like, well, are you going to play even if a doctor tells you not to? He said, well, I've heard that before, and I still went out there and played.
And
So,
last year, I think.
yeah, so
Yeah, I mean,
He
if
just
it's
missed
just
one game last year.
Right. If it's just a pain tolerance thing, even though it might be extremely painful, knowing him, I say knowing him, I don't know him personally, but knowing his
reputation as a warrior.
Right, like I would assume he's going to play no matter how much it
But
hurts.
it's going to be so hard.
Yeah.
Because he on the right side coming off the end. Like, you got to rip up.
Yeah.
And like,
I think Jay asked
I
the
don't
question
think
the
you
other
can-
day, or somebody
I
did.
asked
G would know.
Like
like,
Mike asked it. Would you
rip
flip
up.
him? Would you flip him to the other side?
To protect the arm.
I wouldn't tell him to be in a stance. He'd be standing up the rest
He
of the year.
still got to rip to get under there.
But here's the thing.
Or he got to try to dip, and they going to hit that shoulder.
His
It's
stance,
gonna-
he has a 4-point stance, right? He's getting down. The best thing about Myles Garrett is his get off. He's exploding off the ground. He
Yes.
has to have his hands on the ground. That's a lot of weight and pressure to be getting down 50 snaps a game, having 280 pounds leaning on your
that
shoulder.
shoulder.
So my thing is, yeah, he still has to rip, but here's the thing. This is a time period where you got to come with more moves. Sometimes, if you can't rip and you can't swim, you better be figuring out something else to do because you got to have multiple counter moves. Because trust me,
It's gonna be a spin
they
move,
are
huh?
looking for those. They are looking for
His
ways.
spin move's good.
He better be Dwight
Yeah.
Freeney.
I think. Oh man, I think one
Watch
thing.
some tape.
I think one thing that will probably happen, and we'll look at it as the weeks go by, is he's going to be out there for less snaps.
Yeah.
Right.
I would
you're
think for sure.
You're going to pick your spots more with him
Yeah.
to try to keep him healthier.
And that's what they did late in the game against Denver. You saw
Right.
he's on the sideline a lot more than he typically is.
You know, maybe he's just going to be out there on third downs or second and longs. I don't know, but it sucks.
No, it does.
It's been a
Anything
series
else
of
noteworthy in that article?
injuries there.
Say it again.
Anything else noteworthy in Mary Kay's article?
No, he's going to play. Hopefully we'll learn some more, but
Yeah.
Mary Kay, once again, there's no sourcing, not necessarily just more of a column than an actual article. But once again, we know Mary Kay, if she's writing it.
Yeah. And I will
she's
say
getting
this,
info from
Mike.
someone.
Yeah.
You know, when Mary Kay was on with it, we all said, hey, if DTR clears, we would play him. But Mary Kay changed my mind yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, she really did, because she made the point that, he just got battered.
Yeah.
His mouth was bleeding. Give him a week off.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco can play.
Rest when you're dead.
Nah, I get what she's saying. I think she's right. I would give him a week off. Now, if DTR clears and he's okay, I'd play him the following week. But I would let Joe Flacco play. He can't have.
I think a decision has to be made today, and here's why. Joe Flacco has not taken
Right.
snaps in this offense,
No.
period. If he's going to start, you need to declare that today, and he needs to take all of the reps. And I'm with you, Bull.
Yeah,
I
it
think
changed my mind after hearing that.
Give Joe Flacco a
Yeah.
look. We talked about his numbers in the first two games last year.
Yeah.
He might have some magic in that arm, just enough to get past the Rams. Look, if you could win this game and get to 8, that is monumental.
Huge.
But I think it's if you're going to use them, this would be the time to use them, because
Yeah.
Mary Kay was right when she was talking about the weather conditions.
Well, next week in Jacksonville, when Jacksonville comes to town, it could be 23 degrees
Right,
like it is
right.
today.
Right.
You know,
That's
Flacco-
so good weather for a 38-year-old guy. Go ahead.
The Rams don't have, outside of Donald, they don't have much of a pass rush, and it's going to be perfect weather. If DTR got cleared today, what's the odds he's going to get cleared today?
I don't
man?
even think he'll be
Slim
cleared by
to
game
none.
time. I
He
don't.
probably won't any.
You made the good point Monday
Yeah.
that quarterbacks haven't been
rare.
cleared in a week.
Yeah,
on
it's rare.
concussion protocol.
I'm excited about. I'm excited about seeing what Joe Flacco talking about.
You mean to tell me Phillip ain't getting the job?
No,
boy?
stop with that.
Boy, if you stop, boy.
We can't see him again. I don't want to ever see him on the
So,
field.
so let me ask, if just out of curiosity,
The answer's no.
3
If it's anything
o'clock.
to do with Phillip Walker,
3
the answer's
o'clock
no.
come around and Kevin Stefanski does his thing, and they say Phil is the starter.
I'm going off on Stefanski,
What
and I
you
love
gonna-
Stefanski.
What you gonna
but-
say?
Stefanski is not starting Phil.
No, he can't.
Let's just put an end to that nonsense right here,
Like today,
right now.
just today, we
gotta
can't
stop that.
You got Flacco for this reason.
Yeah,
Okay.
why did you sign him if he's not going to play
right.
the
And
game?
by the way,
He's
He
Phil.
ain't ready yet.
Nah,
I'm gonna say
he's a
this.
veteran. He's got to be ready
38
now.
years old.
If he looks
Super
good,
Bowl in his case.
if he looks good and he beats the Rams,
Who?
I'm riding it. I'm riding out with Flacco.
Really?
I'm not switching nothing back. Unless he
You
get
know
hurt or
what?
something.
I'm glad you said that. When the next segment, when Bull's segment comes up, remember what you said.
Well, that's a great segue, Ty, because we could get to that right
job.
now. And this next segment, which I'm going to let Bull set up in a sec, is brought to us by FanDuel, because I don't want to be associated with putting this out in the world. And Bull,
This
it's a
is
great
gonna be
question.
good.
And it is
We've been
going
waiting on
to
this.
make a lot of people very upset. So I'm going to let you take the heat for this. But it's also brought to us by FanDuel. As the weather gets colder, the NFL offers stay hot on FanDuel. And right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action than right now. The app is simple to use, and there's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and much, much more. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL. And with that, Bull, the floor is yours, my friend.
So we were having a conversation. I think this conversation was off air, wasn't it?
It was.
Yes.
We were talking, and G brought up. We were talking about the NBA, and G brought up when they did that thing in the NBA. I don't remember what year it was, where you got to
2011.
amp. What's that?
2011.
God,
it
was that long ago?
I didn't see
I
that
would have
long
guessed
ago.
15.
Yeah, and remember what the NBA did was every team got to amnesty a player, and I think they had like 2 years to do it, if I remember
I
correctly.
thought it was just 1 year. I could be
it
wrong.
was within the CBA. So it was signed
Oh,
into the
for that
2011
whole-
CBA and up
Oh.
to 2015, which is when they were allowed
So
to
it
do
was
it.
4 years.
Okay, that makes sense why I thought it was
Okay.
2015.
So
Yeah, he got
you
amnesty.
got to amnesty a player. Here what it had to be. Oh, I didn't a contract prior to 2011. Player still got paid all his money, but it got completely erased from the salary cap.
Right.
So we were talking about this, and I said, if you could do that in football, would the Browns or would you amnesty Deshaun Watson, knowing what you know now?
This question is such a good question.
It's tough.
I was dropping G up to his car upstairs and we was talking about it.
See, now, it's tough for this reason. I think it's easy if you say, if you have a do-over button, do you go back in time and
get the
leave this
pick.
trade on
Yeah.
the floor?
See, that's
To
different.
me, I'm not doing this trade. I wouldn't do it in the first place, but now I have the benefit of 40% of his contract's results, and I'm definitely not doing it. Because you got 5 chances to win that
Right, but that's not the question.
But
I know it's
The
not.
question is, you still don't have you're not getting your pick back.
Now, are
this
you
year.
the owner and you're going to have to write the check for that money?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Mike.
Because
I'm not either.
I'm not doing it for the simple fact that his last 2 games that he played healthy, it showed you that he's good. And they won. He looked really good. And they won a really good game because of him and his performance. We know that this is a quarterback-driven league. And the question is always, can you win a Super Bowl with that guy? And from his last 2 performances, I would say, yes, you could win. And I just think that from a locker room standpoint, it's something about Deshaun that gets everybody around him to buy in and they want to play and be like with him. So I think you got to have a quarterback in this. I can't just buy him out and then be left with Joe
because
Flacco.
then you're back at square one.
Yeah, we back at Joe Flacco. Now we talking about if PJ Walker getting the job, then I'm taking this off. Now,
Well,
No, but if C.J. Stroud was there, you would take C.J. Stroud.
yeah, but I don't have the picks though.
No, you don't.
So you need a quarterback. He is the best thing. Like, why would you?
When
not?
I was thinking about this, Bull, this is what I did.
Yeah.
I love to play blackjack. And I said, okay, I'm at a blackjack table. You know how the ebbs and flows of your hits changes
of course,
way
the
you feel.
strategy, yeah.
It's like you get a 7 and a 5.
Ugh.
And you're like, what the hell am I going to do with this? Give me a hit.
I'm about to say,
You get a 2.
Oh, that's
that's
even
the
worse.
worst.
Now you're like, what? I can't hold.
No, you
I'm
can't hold.
losing if I hold.
You know,
So,
good
but you know
for
You
what?
get an 8 next.
So I'm all in.
You getting the bus card?
So,
I'm gonna just tell you that.
that's what this question is. There's 5 years. Year 1, you got a 2.
I'm holding.
That's your first card.
Right.
Year 2, you got a 4. Now you're sitting 6. But you can take 3 more, and you can get to 21.
No.
So I'm saying, hit me, hit me, hit me. Until I'm going over with those hands.
Got to.
I'm saying, because your point was a good one. Look at his last 3 games. He was averaging about 225 passing yards, which today is okay.
I got to
5
say, guys.
touchdowns, 1 pick.
The only thing.
Roll the dice.
I-
You're already in the game.
I
Keep
got to
going.
say, guys, we debated this a little already, and I remember the day that the Browns traded for Deshaun Watson. I was on the air when the news broke. I went bananas. I was beyond excited.
You were.
I went crazy on the radio when the Browns traded for Deshaun Watson. I think what we've seen from him the last 2 years, you guys are talking about he played well in this game. He played well.
No, his last 3, though.
I don't buy it. I think
Well,
he played.
put up his numbers again for
I
his
don't care
last
about
3.
his. Jay, we talk about this all the time.
You don't care about him.
I don't care about the numbers.
Okay.
The eye test.
I mean, he was 3-0.
that's fine.
So you buying
guys,
him out?
guys, I honestly asked the question, and I haven't been able to. I've gone back and forth on this since I asked you guys the question.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the right answer is, because if next year he's inconsistent, first of all, he's got an injury we don't know how he's going to recover from.
That's very true.
He's had a lot of injuries in his career, and in my opinion, he has not looked. when the Browns traded for him, I was excited because the player I had seen in Houston was dynamic.
And we haven't seen that guy.
And we haven't seen that guy at all.
No, yeah.
Not even once.
That's fair.
We have not seen that guy even once.
But
we have not, Tyvis. You know it. You know we haven't seen that guy.
Now, Bull, does it change your mind that the defenses are just better today?
No, because I think it's way too small sample size. We still have some quarterbacks putting up big numbers. There may be less. Yes, there are.
Let me ask you this.
Very small number.
Well, whatever. I thought we had one of those guys.
Let me ask this. Okay, you keep him. Kevin Stefanski gives up play calling. You could get Eric Bieniemy in there.
No, I don't want to get Kevin Stefanski to give a play call.
No, I'm just saying. You get a OC in there because what he's doing with Washington, if you was to bring that type of offense to Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns.
Well, he's not lighting the world on fire in Washington.
You see, but the argument, no, I wouldn't do it for that way.
Okay.
And I think in the end, I would not amnesty him because I don't see the Browns having a good option right now without the draft pick.
Right.
However, I would say that to your point of, well, defense is trending in that direction. 2 years ago, I thought you did have to have a great quarterback to win.
You're right.
And Baker wasn't great.
I agree with that.
Baker was okay.
Today, Baker could suffice.
Today, I wouldn't want Baker still.
No, I wouldn't either.
Because he turns the ball over too much.
But it's a different platform today.
Yes, but I just want a guy who's not going to turn the ball over and is going to be good.
I agree.
Right.
And I'm not sure. I'm not 100% confident that Deshaun Watson's ever going to be that again.
What was he, 7-4?
And I can't believe I'm saying that, but I'm not sure. But in the end, I would not amnesty him.
Right.
But I really went back and forth on it for a while.
Gee, you've been pretty silent.
Listen, I look at it like this, man. I think I'm the most aggressive. Sometimes, man, you got to go for it. If it's in front of your face and you go for it, I can't be worried about.
This is going for it a second time.
Well, here's the thing.
you have
you'd amnesty him?
Huh?
You would amnesty him?
No, I think he's saying, like, go for it. Like, go all in.
You already in the game.
Yeah.
Keep him.
You already here now. Like,
that's why I would keep him.
I mean, you hear like so.
I paid my fee. I'm at the table.
And you can't. And for Jay's analogy, just because the Texans hit on a bus when they should have stayed on a bus card that the dealer has and got C.J. Stroud, I can't look at him and say I gotta change my strategy now. The strategy says I should hit on certain numbers, right?
Sure.
And so I'm here. It might be ugly for the first three years and have not paid the dividends, but what's worse than that is going back 5 or 6 years when you didn't have it. You had Cody Kessler, the Deshaun Kaisers of the world.
But they didn't make that move when they were in that space.
They
made that move with a quarterback who had gotten them out of that space.
Yes, so that's the thing. And everybody in Cleveland should already have the stomach. Because we had the 4 years with Baker Mayfield. Sometimes when you roll the dice, and we rolled that all the way to the end.
We did.
To see what happens. Now, you 2-3 years in. If I turn around and amnesty him, I'm not going to get no picks back. No. I'm not about to get.
No, the only thing you get is the cap relief.
But what if I knew I could sign Kirk Cousins, who's going to be a free agent at the end of the year?
Well, see, you would be able to.
Right.
Like now, to your point before, and the point that you made when I was saying I hated the deal, the point that you made was, how can you hate the deal? This is the first time Cleveland has ever gone all in on the most important position in the sport.
Yes.
And that was your best point when we were counterpointing, make the trade or not. You're right. But my argument was that's not the only move you could make. Now, in that slice of time, it was.
Yes.
Because quarterbacks don't fall out of the sky.
Right.
And he was available, and they went for it. Something to be said for that, particularly for an organization that had never done that.
Right.
But we're talking now about a 5-year window.
Yeah.
Would Baker have been good enough for a year and then revisit the free agent window after Baker's last year to see what's available now? And knowing that now you got a $30 million budget or a $40 million a year budget for a quarterback.
Yeah.
Because that's what they're spending now. They're spending $45 million, $48 million a year now.
And people don't even, let's be clear. It's not like people are knocking down the door for Kirk Cousins when he signed his deal.
No.
The Minnesota Vikings is like, there's fans that probably think he's the same thing. He's injured.
But he got paid.
He's injured.
Well, he's injured now, but he hasn't been injury prone in Minnesota.
But the thing is, has he gotten them over the hump?
No.
They've been.
No, and that's my problem with it.
Hold on.
The hump is the Super Bowl.
Kirk, fine, and he hasn't, and there's fair criticism. But neither Deshaun Watson hasn't won anything in the playoffs either.
No, he has not.
And Kirk Cousins has been way better than Deshaun Watson the last 2 years.
Inarguable.
It's not even close.
No, it's not even close.
One played 2 whole seasons. The other one didn't.
Well, no, he hasn't because he's hurt now too. And Kirk Cousins was playing with an awful defense.
He had an all-worldwide
If
receiver.
you had
But the year before, they had a great defense.
When last year?
No, 2 years ago.
2 years ago, they had a great
ago.
defense.
Great?
Yes.
Don't act like Jay.
Not like the
Jettis
Browns
ain't
was.
And with Justin Jefferson, too.
I'm about to
got
say,
the better
don't
piece.
do that.
He's got the better piece.
Jay Jettis and
I'm
Hawkinson.
talking about defense.
I'm just talking about Kirk
Yeah.
Cousins' piece.
In general, Kirk
I'm
Cousins.
saying, if you wouldn't you want to have? Don't you think the Browns can win a Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins right now?
On this team,
Or no?
yeah, they probably could.
I think they could.
I think if Deshaun Watson weren't hurt, they could still win.
By the
I agree
way,
with
they
that,
didn't lose
too.
that playoff game last year to the Giants because of Kirk
They
Cousins.
did not lose that because of
if you
I agree with that,
if you
their defense did not do the job.
They
erase
did
these
not.
2 weeks. Erase these 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Go back to the way he played against Baltimore, and there's 75-80% of the people that's saying the Browns could win a Super Bowl.
Well, for the
I
second
agree
half.
I agree with that
Yeah,
statement.
you're right.
Yes.
See, here's the other thing about the amnesty question that has to come into play.
It's the pick.
You're looking at the ebbs and flows of the players that you're going to have on your roster at the back end of his deal.
Yeah.
So he's got 3 years left. We know the first 2 years have been an abject failure dumpster fire, period. You've got 3 years to make this thing a success. What will this roster look like going into the 2025 season?
Right.
2026
Are the
season?
Browns
Is
gonna-
Myles Garrett still here?
Are the Browns going to
Is
draft?
Amari Cooper?
Are they going to? Well, Joe
Is
Bitonio
Nick
won't
Chubb?
be here.
Is Bitonio?
You know, are the Browns going to draft well enough to replace these guys?
Well, the track record will
No.
no. Track
Well,
record.
no, that's not completely fair.
the
Their draft has been
It's mid.
okay.
It's mixed.
okay.
Their
It's mid.
best players.
But you got to be Rams good.
Come
the
in.
to
best
dig out of that
players.
hole.
Yes.
The best players were picked by John Dorsey. The guys that are carrying them have not been brought
Martin
in.
Emerson is by them.
Okay, that's Martin Emerson. But look at all the rest of the guys.
Yeah, the stalwarts on this team did come in
the
during
pillars,
the
the
Dorsey
guys.
Oh,
you
Myles
hang your
Garrett
head
wasn't
on.
drafted by Dorsey.
No, he was the regime before.
He
Yeah.
was. So here, what I'm saying
Sashi.
is, these dudes haven't picked nobody. You can't.
Well, Martin Emerson, I give him a lot
they
of credit
give
for.
Martin Emerson,
And
but
JOK is still
Martin Emerson, I like JOK.
In fairness, they haven't had first-round
G
picks.
knew.
Well, hold on.
Hold on now.
He a good slot.
He's a decent player. Come on, that's not fair.
He's a decent slot, but
but
I'm
he
not going to
threw-
hold him up as one of
He
my
rolled,
successes.
he,
guys,
rolled, he rolled that in like it
How
was a
many
grenade.
first or something like G knew?
Is
They
he not?
only-
Is he not a
Wait, was
key
Newsom
piece
a
on
first-round
defense?
pick?
Yes.
Yes, he was.
That's been their only first-round pick, right?
No, they've had others. I want to say
No, 'cause
before the Watson deal, they had 2.
Well, Barry got here in 20, correct? With Stefanski.
Yeah.
So it'd be 20, 21. Well, 20 they took Newsom, right?
Yep.
Yeah, 20
Yeah.
was Newsom.
So and now it's there was one more year.
Yeah, I feel like there were
no, they
2.
got yeah.
Feel like there were 2.
Who did
Was
they
he the
draft?
first round pick?
That's a shame.
No, they didn't because Odell Beckham Jr.
They traded the pick
traded
for
that
Odell.
pick for Odell. And so they had a second-round pick, which was Grant Delpit.
And Newsom was 2021, not
I
2020.
thought Greedy was that
No.
second pick.
Greedy Williams was the second.
Who was the Browns' first-round pick in 2020? Was it Jed
See,
Wills?
Green
Jed
Wills.
Wills.
Oh yeah. Hold on.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Jed Wills. That's who he
Yeah,
is.
that's right.
Okay.
He's been,
No,
he's
no,
missed.
we're not ready to say he's a success.
No, he's
he's,
not.
Swing and a miss.
he's
a
missed
miss.
right now.
Hey,
He's
we're
a
But,
miss.
but,
Greedy Williams was our
Second round pick.
second round pick.
but
He-
Newsom was
he's
a
gone.
solid pick, and Grant Delpit's been a very good pick for a second-round pick. He's been a good player.
Will they
Especially last
pay?
2
Will they
years.
pay him?
I don't know.
We'll find out.
But Jay, you say it's a three more years to find out. We really have one more year,
Technically.
in a way.
Yeah,
because
everything is year
if
to
he
year.
doesn't put it all together next year,
They trade.
it's done.
Yeah.
It's done. they still got to pay him, but it's over.
I think you're right, which is again.
He's
you're
got
right,
one last
too.
chance to put it all together. I
No,
think.
Tyvis, he's right.
I think he is.
I mean, because the window is not on the way up. The window for the Browns is on the way down.
It's been 3 years that Deshaun Watson's been hurt or has barely played. If he doesn't play well next year, 5 years later, he's all of a sudden going to
They
play
better
well again?
draft and go find 96 receivers.
I'm
if
gonna
that's
tell you
the
right
case.
now, they got to make the playoffs, and then they got to look
told
hard. They
you.
got to look
G said
hard
it
in the
yesterday.
mirror
G was
on
spot on.
offense, bro.
Hey, I got some poll results for you guys real quick. We're going to bring in Leroy, and poll results are brought to us by PCC Airfoils. If you're looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits, PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils at Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up. Plus, full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. You can apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. Steve, get ready to bring in
Head to
Leroy
toe.
as I drop this grenade into the chat. But we asked, would you amnesty Deshaun Watson if you could? 410 votes is a dead 50-50 split.
No kidding.
Wow.
Well, that's how you know it's a good question.
Wow. I am stunned. I thought it'd be 90-10 no.
Oh, and I just hit end. So officially, it just ended with 51% no, 49%, which is literally one vote off. Of
Oh, my
437
God.
votes.
I am
Crazy.
stunned by
You
that.
said 51% said what?
51% said they would not amnesty
Okay.
Deshaun.
Dang,
49%
it
said
was a
they
good
would. And let's ask
question.
Leroy. Leroy, what would you do if you had the option?
Oh,
Would I amnesty? No. What do you like? Listen, guys. Here's what you need to understand. All this quarterback talk that you talk about. Oh, maybe he could do this, and oh, maybe he could do that. You have an idea what Deshaun Watson can do. My only complaint with Deshaun Watson is, dude hasn't played 5 consecutive weeks since he been here, right? And that's after being off for it. That's after being off for a year and a half.
we saw him 6 straight games last year at the end.
Was he 6 straight? Oh,
Yeah.
that after not playing for a year and a half
I
He
mean,
played 6 games.
and joining the team after week 11.
at what point, though, does it all come back? Week 7?
Here's what I would say. Here's what I would say. There's a lot of truth to what you guys are saying from this standpoint. Next year he comes back healthy and he has a full season, right? And then you'll be able to evaluate, well, he ain't that guy, right?
Yeah.
After
Yeah.
a full season.
But our discussion was for right now, based on what we've seen from him.
No, you can't.
You can't.
You can't.
Yeah,
you
and that's
can't.
why I
you
said you
invest
can't
like
either. You're all
part
in.
of the problem. Part of the problem with the damn Cleveland Browns over the last 30 years is their impatience.
Yep, and they zig.
Right?
Yeah,
and then what happens is all the fans in Bull are happy because they made the move they wanted, and then you're miserable for the next 5 years. Have a little patience. I get the window may not be as big as you want it to be, but go ahead and look at the alternatives.
Hey, Leroy,
And I
that's
gotta tell
wait
you,
a second.
here,
That's unfair
what?
because a lot of people in this town have been screaming to fire Stefanski, and I have consistently said you need consistency. Don't fire the guy. So don't lump me in
Well,
with.
let me ask Leroy a question about
Yeah.
that because it's a college question, but it's the same thing philosophically. Were you one of the Michigan alum that were yelling and screaming, and I heard many of them, fire Harbaugh after his first 4 years? I heard a lot of y'all saying, fire him.
Yeah.
And I
mean,
think you did too.
I heard it, yeah.
And the team, and you know what? To their credit, they showed patience.
Why you bring that up?
Well, I bring it up because I think it's pertinent to this argument.
They also showed photographs to the defensive coordinator.
Yes, they did. But they showed patience, and it's paid off.
Listen,
Because it's
the blueprint,
consistency.
Jay, the blueprint of how organizations should be run is a little bit east. And that's the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, you're right.
How many times have they pleaded to the Pittsburgh Steelers to fire Tomlin?
You're
Right? He's done. He can't get it done. Look at this team. Look at Kenny Pickett. He can't get it done. And you know what the Steelers say? We know what the hell we doing.
Here we
Back
are,
off.
7-4.
Right. And so I understand that at some point you got to make changes. I understand that. Okay? But if your answer to Deshaun Watson is Kirk Cousins, be careful with what you're asking for. And I like Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins made more guaranteed money than anybody in this league. Because every contract he done had since he left the 2 years of franchise tag in Washington has been guaranteed money.
You're right.
Smart.
But
Leroy, let me ask you this, though. Could they
go ahead.
win a Super Bowl with this defense and obviously a healthy? Because he's got to be healthy. But if he's healthy, can
Yes.
they win a Super Bowl that way?
I think they need that dude outside. Right?
Thank
You look at all these teams,
Thank you.
and they all have that dude. Right? Go look at all the top teams. Guess what they got outside? That dude. I'm not saying that these receivers aren't good. I love Amari Cooper. right? But with Amari Cooper, they just drop back 30 yards and let him catch it in front of him. And it's kind of the same, situation that your best receiver when it was Jarvis Landry. You got to threaten the ball down the field. You have to. So you need to get some guys that is going to fight, that are going to scare the back end of that defense. You have to. Look at football the way it's played now. Why does Kansas City look like they're struggling so much? Because can't nobody that go past 30 yards can catch the damn ball.
But they won the Super Bowl last year without anybody.
Again, there's exceptions to every rule, Bull. But you know what the hell I'm talking about. Stop. The Browns don't have anybody who threaten the football field on the back end. They don't.
Well, he's in concussion protocol right now. That's all.
Well, when he was healthy, he didn't.
Hold on. Leroy, here's the thing, man. I know we a hard-working city, and I know people want to put their hard hat on, but sometimes y'all got to go ahead and get you a splash player and a player that can make plays.
Well, we tried that.
We keep
talking. Keep missing.
No, you didn't. Cedric Tillman is not splashing nothing away.
No, OBJ. That was a big splash move.
That was a big splash move.
And it was a big fail.
And they got him up out of here because he showed how many times he was open. Now, now here's the thing.
That's not fair.
I'm just saying.
To be cut.
Here's the thing. I'm just saying. What I'm saying, Leroy, is if we want to talk about the Deshaun Watson thing, we also have to take this thing and talk about it in pieces as well. We were told by Kevin Stefanski that this was a new and improved offense, and we kind of just threw that away to the wind. It ain't new and improved. This is the same thing we've seen. And to me, if you're going to give Deshaun Watson a best chance to be the guy that he was in Houston, you got to give him somebody that run faster than a 4.5.
All right, then why did you predict him to throw for 5,000 yards before the season?
Because I thought Deshaun Watson was that nice. Obviously, when you get new information, you can pivot.
Right,
I call that being smart.
That is. I agree.
Here's the other thing. Okay? Go look at the turnaround for all these young quarterbacks and see what they have in common. Tua Tagovailoa got who?
Both
Tyreek
cats.
Hill. Right?
Jalen Waddle.
Jalen Hurts got what?
2 guys.
Yep.
Two guys. Okay? Stop. Go look at Jacksonville and tell me Ridley hasn't made that much of a damn difference?
Ridley, Kirk.
Come
He's
on.
not having a great year, actually.
We could have
But
traded for him.
that does not. But they tried.
I got you.
They went and got what they considered that dude. Every football move. But look, you could have the right idea, and you can have the right decision making. It doesn't always work, right? It doesn't always work. So understand that when your team or your organization decides, oh, we're going to make a play for this guy or this guy, and this is what it's going to do to our team, sometimes it doesn't quite work the way they had it planned.
Right.
That's life in sports.
That guy is hard to get, though, Leroy. There aren't that many of those guys, right? I mean, there aren't that many of those guys. I agree with you in the end that, yes, the Browns
Go look at the last 5 drafts.
Yeah.
Go look at the last 5 drafts all over the first and second round. There's been those dudes getting drafted.
And we've missed.
Well, the Browns haven't had a first-round pick.
Notoriously, we've missed.
Leroy, what school did a lot of the, those first-round picks receivers? What school did they? I was curious. What school did?
I'm gonna tell you what school they went to.
You set yourself
Go ahead. Take
Put
that.
yourself up.
Wait,
for that.
can I just say this? Can I just say this? Let me say this about the game.
By the way,
right?
Aaron Rodgers.
And I'm gonna say this.
Wait, what game?
I'm
Aaron
gonna say
Rodgers
this about
is coming back to practice.
Michigan, Ohio State.
You gotta.
Let me say
we
this
gotta
real
talk
quick.
about that.
Yes, I'm gonna tell you why Michigan been winning. You want to know why? Because for the last 10 years, you have had a quarterback that was excellent at off-schedule plays.
That's true.
That can make plays with his legs. The same thing that kills Alabama. Whenever they have a quarterback that can run around and make plays outside the pocket. Now you put a guy just sit. Wait. Now you just put him sit him in the pocket. So a disciplined defense know exactly where he's gonna be all the time.
Yeah, that's true. But last year we had C.J. Stroud.
He wasn't a runner.
He could move.
He could move. But he
run
wasn't.
more
He
in the
wasn't.
pros.
He has run more than pros. Ryan
Yes.
Day
Yes, he
Ryan
has.
Day kept him in the pocket.
What I'll say about that game is I plead the fifth, and I don't want to talk to you about it.
You know what?
Now, can we
I'll say
talk about the Browns real quick?
congratulations because they played their ass off.
That's it.
Oh, yeah, for
Congratulations.
sure. Y'all
To the
did y'all
victor,
thing.
you know the deal,
Boom.
and they
Right.
played the better
Ain't
game.
no with an interim coach, no cheating
That's
going
right.
on.
Congratulations,
Boom.
you guys
You
played
got
a
it, baby.
hell of a game.
You got it.
Deserve everything you get.
It don't. Hey, I got to tell you, it sounds like you eating a bitter ale. Go ahead on and eat it.
I'm
Like,
not.
don't.
me?
Don't. Yeah.
Yeah, Tyvis
You got to
is.
put
What
it on the side.
What I need to
Your
do?
coach-
Why I need to do that?
Leroy,
Why
your
did-
coach showed guts, and Ryan Day was gutless. He didn't go for it ever.
Why I need to do that, Leroy?
Yeah.
He's got his
Look
pants
at the
out.
gold pants.
Hey, Leroy, I'll say this. I look at it like this. I ain't got a dog in the fight. One thing I've noticed with Michigan,
You're a Buckeye fan.
I am a Buckeye fan. I went to OU. I could always pivot and fall out. Just be like, all right, have nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with that. Hey, but here's the thing. It's just like in the pros. Michigan is more consistent when it comes to doing what they need to do up front.
You want me to tell you what it
Up
is?
front for
Bull?
sure.
Let me tell you what it is, G. Bush. Here's what it is. And this is what I get annoyed about with the Browns.
Yep.
Know who you are and be the best version of who you are and stop trying to be somebody you not.
Yep.
Okay? The Browns are a team that runs the football and are physical on both lines of scrimmage. Everything that you do starts off there, right? There is no reason in the world DTR should have been throwing the ball that damn much.
Leroy, how would you know, Bernie was here yesterday, and he was explaining how y'all would handle a guy like Aaron Donald. How would you
Take his ass out, he said.
No, here, you know what you do to guys like that? You run right at them.
That's what he said.
Yep.
You don't run side to side.
Bernie said that's
Here.
exactly what you would do.
Let me explain something to you. And here's what sometimes kills me about coaches, right? You can't be afraid of that guy.
Thank you.
You got 600 pounds of linemen that you could just push down the field and just get the bag behind him and just go for a ride for 3 or 4 yards and do that 5 or 6 or 7 times in a drive. Right? That wears on. I don't care who you are.
Get in his head.
Now, you ain't got to get in his head. Get on his body.
Yeah, but you're
Put
also,
that
now he's
beef
looking for
on
that
him.
every play, too.
Yes. But all these plays, when you see Aaron Donald making plays, is because he's so quick, he's so athletic, he's so strong, and you give him a window to, like, not even get hit and just jump around you. So, like, no. But you got to commit to it. You got to commit to the run. Like, dude, let me ask you a question. I'm going to ask you. Y'all don't have to be rocket scientists, right?
We're not, so that's a good
We're not
thing.
shocked up.
Every time you go into a game, without a game plan, I had you look at the rankings, right? Man, this team sucks at stopping the run. And we run the ball well. Guess we're going to give them a heavy dose of run.
You're
That's
right.
not rocket science.
No, you're absolutely right.
That's
And so
stubbornness.
we watching the guy, look. And this sucks for DTR. Here's why. He's in his damn 3rd game.
Yeah. And you have him
And
throw
you got him
42
back there.
times.
Right.
Well, he threw
Which
29.
is
Well, it threw his,
It's-
ended up throwing himself out of the game. He threw so much.
But you, like, come on, man, at some point in sports, and this is at any level, this is at any level of football, basketball, or whatever, right? Sometimes you got to put the ball in your hand and say, come get some. You got to stop me. We don't do that. We never do that. We say, oh, no. And here's the problem. You ready? The damn check with me. And I'm going to tell y'all how the check with me goes awry. And it happened a bunch of times during the game. Because DTR probably had check with me, run pass, and you counting bodies, right? And you see what Denver would do? They'll walk up to the line of scrimmage.
Yes, and fall back.
He'd check it, and then they back up.
Yep, all day.
Is anybody smart enough to understand what the hell they doing?
And they did it all day.
I can see it.
But Leroy, there's 9 guys in the box, Leroy. We can't run against 9 in the box, Leroy.
You know what? Every running back you have on here, you know what we look forward to? 9 men on the line of scrimmage. Because if you find a crease, you go.
That's it. Home
Are
run.
we dropping back and throwing a pass? Come on.
I had a
That
feeling
ain't
you'd go there.
Football. When it's third and short, and you hand it off to Hunt, how's that any damn different? You still having success because you got one of the best run games in the world. Then we doing razzle-dazzle and trickery and all this. You can't be farther away from who you are.
So where are you at with Kevin Stefanski and play call? That's
the next
I just
follow-up
don't
question.
know.
Yeah.
Week to
I'm
week.
telling you, a lot of these passes came from the run pass check. And sometimes, at some point, Kevin Stefanski should have sent them in and say, run it. Just run it. We have it all the time. Look, you stand on the sideline and say, soon as they check it, they back out. Don't check it. Give a dummy move. You say give a dummy call. Hey. Gringo. It don't mean nothing. They back out, you run it down their throat.
That's what Bernie was saying yesterday.
Bernie said
Bernie was saying the same thing yesterday. Exactly, Leroy.
But Bernie didn't listen to the coach, though.
Yeah, Bernie
Leroy,
was
he
calling
told
his
us- he
own
told us that.
plays.
No, you know why? Because here's why. Because Bernie would see that happening,
Yeah.
and he would nix the run pass check.
Yep.
He would get in the huddle and say, we sticking with it. He ain't need to get it from the booth, from the sideline, all the way in after you'd have got drug up 8 plays in a row
No, you got to
to realize we got to pound this thing.
Well, you know,
Belichick screwed it up.
Paul DePodesta, sent the text message to the sideline. He saw something.
Let's hope not.
That's not true.
I
is it?
saw something too in Florida. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, y'all get. You know how offenses go in motion, and I tell you how the defenses go all crazy or whatever. They did it to us. Them guys ain't had no intention on crossing that line of scrimmage when they got there. They looking around. You could see it. I could see it the whole game.
They got called
They
for
would
an
just come up there.
offsides on a guy that was faking a blitz. And he backed
Right.
up, but he'd already come off sides.
Right.
I'm like,
You know what?
more do they have to
It was
see
like-
to know they're not coming?
No, you know what they would say? Hey, get a little bit closer so they think you coming.
Yes.
That's too close. Like, come on, man, look. Football's not that hard, man. And sometimes it ain't a matter of numbers. Sometimes it's a matter of talent, right? How many receivers you see go over the top with double coverage, right? Still catching the ball.
Sure.
Oh, he was double covered there. Like, stop trying to outsmart the game. You still got talent against talent. That's what sports is. It ain't your creative play calling.
You're right.
Like, all these coaches that do that.
42 throws,
Like,
16 handoffs to running backs.
Think about this. In the last two, McCarthy might be a first day draft, maybe second day, right? Because he handles the stuff. They've gone one game where he only threw 8 passes.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then the next game, the best part of that whole Ohio State game was with 8 minutes left, they ran the ball down the field with all the men in the box.
Killed the clock.
Ran it down the field and ate up 6.5 minutes.
Hey,
That's
Leroy,
it. That was the game.
Hey,
You're
Leroy,
right.
I don't need you going. That's not a good representation. I don't need you going back to that game to
Wait, can
bring
we
that point.
ask,
8 minutes-
can I ask
8
one
minutes
question
left.
to both you guys, Tyvis
What's
and Leroy? I want to show a piece of tape. For me, this is why the Buckeyes lost and why they've lost the last 3. This is pregame. And I know that teams have camaraderie and they do their things, but this is what Ohio State was doing before the Michigan game, and Michigan players were punching
cringeworthy.
each other in the face.
This is cringeworthy.
And it's cringeworthy, and I tell you, the reason I show it is because last year, on this show, Maurice Clarett came out and said, the Buckeyes are all about the flash. Do I have my socks right? Is my towel hanging right? We're here for showtime. Meantime, Michigan was like, we don't give a damn hell what we look like. We're bringing the fight to whoever we play. That makes me want to vomit.
I'm glad you brought this up because my boy Josh went off on a rant on this. And
Josh
Perry, he went on a rant on this on his show, and they asked me about it. And I said, to be honest, you sound like the old guy in the room when you say it.
I know I do, but you know what? That wins football games.
Listen, like I said,
you're for that.
Like I said yesterday, people get ready for games differently. So just because a guy like me, I wouldn't do that. That's not how I get ready for games. I don't necessarily mean that that's not how they won 11 games and they did that every
They didn't win the game.
But they won 11 games doing the same thing.
I haven't seen Michigan do that.
So
they
still won 11 games.
What do you think of that pregame?
You know what I did for pregame? I go get a little workout in. We go to pregame. I would take a pillow from the hotel.
Yeah, you've told me this before.
I'd back it up in my locker.
Yep.
And 15 minutes before the game, I'd take a little power nap.
Damn.
Yeah.
Now, was I ready for football?
Hell yeah.
Like, if anybody had saw that, they were like, this guy's sleeping. He ain't ready for football. Like, we all looking at after-the-fact stuff. Tyvis is right. They did it for 11 straight games, and they was second in the country and won 11 games.
Is it enough to win the game?
It has nothing to do with it.
I don't think they lost.
What do you think of that mentality?
Even though it was cringeworthy, they didn't lose because of that.
No, it's a mentality bull. They didn't lose because of that. Their mindset was dancing and showtime. Michigan wasn't doing that.
All them dudes over there,
because they ain't got guys who could dance. You ever thought of that?
We don't pay attention. We don't pay attention to skill position guys. Y'all cats don't really matter.
Whoa.
No, let me tell you this. Them dudes ain't gonna tackle. They ain't got to worry about offensive linemen up front. As D linemen, we like, listen, we better get off these blocks. This is going to be a knife fight for all these minutes. They can dance if they want to. You better have your mind ready up front. All that cute little backing up and dancing and video stuff, that's cool. Marvin Harrison Jr. and the quarterbacks there, listen, them games is run up front. The reason why Michigan is Michigan and Ohio State looks like they look like with John Cooper is because up front, Michigan is married to the ugly stuff. They're married to saying, I'm going to hit you in the mouth. And when you know it's 4th and 2, we still going to hit you in the mouth when we get these points. We're going to get these first downs. That's it.
Ryan Day has created a soft culture.
Yes.
It's hard. Hey.
Urban Meyer, would that happen under Urban Meyer? What would Urban Meyer say
he know
to
that. What would Urban Meyer say about that?
What would he say to that?
If the wide receivers was dancing?
No,
that
whole
dance
situation.
line for the whole team at the beginning of the game.
Urban says he lets you do what you do to get ready. He's not going to interrupt nobody from their pregame routine. If that's what you do, and you better go out there and make sure you do well on the game. He's not everybody. As a matter of fact, he was the one. Every great superstar has their own routine, and I'm not going to deteriorate somebody from doing their routine.
No, I get that.
That's their routine. That's what they do. They've had 11 successful games this season, and they've done that.
I'm betting on the Buckeyes.
How about
we
this?
Gotta go. We gotta go.
They did that last year every game, and they still won a lot of games.
Go.
I don't understand.
We got to do tag board. Leroy, thanks. Congratulations. In all seriousness, you guys deserve it. You've had a great year. Good luck the next 3 games. Iowa's going to be a struggle. I can promise you that. Good luck, and may the best team win. Hey, you can't argue it.
No.
You can't argue it.
Thanks, Leroy. We got to get some super chats to finish off here. Wes B is the first super chat of the day. He says, Nickelback's music is cornball, always has been, always will be. The masses are just as corny for entertaining their trash music. Indie rock is where it's at. Shout out to Phil Bowman and Ray Smith for both gifting 10 memberships today. You guys are the real MVPs of November. Kenny Moss says, I wish the Browns would pull David Bell out of the lineup and bring up Austin Watkins. His spark plug play might be just what the offense needs. Peter R. says, Emerson and Dewan, first-round talent. Shout out to AB for evaluating them. Michael McGee says, I consider Terrell Owens to be better than Randy Moss. Acid Brooks says, Deshaun only played 11 full games. He's 7-4. Only bad game was against the Steelers this year. Matthew
he was bad
Dinkins.
against the Saints.
Man, we'll come up with any excuse we want to make our argument.
Oh, okay.
this year, he said.
He wasn't great against the Bengals.
If you brought up Baker's
It was
record
right.
when he did
Neither
well,
was Joe.
Come on.
Joe was hurt.
Matthew Dinkins says Ed Reed,
hate
Troy
you.
Polamalu, Champ Bailey, Ty Law, and even Bob Sanders should be ranked before Deion Sanders.
You crazy.
garbage.
That man needs to
Nah,
be
he's
banned.
banned.
He needs to
Banned.
be banned.
Bob said
Bob Sanders couldn't even stay healthy enough.
his super chats have to be over $20 now.
Yeah,
We got to put him limit.
Now on Matthew
$50.
Dinkins.
He's trolling.
And Charles T says Kirk Cousins had Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen, Jefferson, Thielen, Kyle Rudolph, Conklin, and Dalvin Cook in his prime. That really helps make any quarterback look good.
Hawkinson, too.
Give you that.
So, okay, so what?
We don't have those, is what he's
And
saying.
by the way,
We had Nick Chubb. He's better than Dalvin Cook.
But okay, keep going.
Amari Cooper,
Yeah.
David Njoku.
You talking about the dude? You talking about okay?
He had
You talking about okay?
Hawkinson for 1 year.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because he never had a tight end before Hawkinson.
Justin Jefferson better than any-
Obviously, Justin Jefferson's great, but
Kyle Rudolph is respectable.
he's okay. He's not
He makes
not as good as
plays.
David Njoku.
Is that it for the Super Chats? All right, so let's summarize. Deshaun Watson would not be amnestied.
Yeah.
No?
No.
If you go by the panel and the poll.
About
We're going to
50
roll the dice for 3 more years. Because here's the thing. This thing is either going to be a spectacular success
Yeah.
or one of the most epic and spectacular fails of all time.
And that starts this year because they better make the playoffs.
And if he fails next year, I'm drafting a quarterback in the first round of the year.
I think they will.
We'll see.